Check one, check one. We're live on Instagram, all right. 50%. What? Sam Hill? All right, let's see how these buttons work today.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
How about this one?
I think people saw that loud and clear.
There we go.
I think people saw that loud and clear.
I agree, I think so.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
All right, check one. Do I look all right? I think so. We'll find out in just about a second. I don't even know. Let's see. See if this is working again. Nope. All right, fix that. Let's go to here. That's in. Huh. Good to know. All right. I'll worry about it later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you? Hi. What's going on? What's shaking? What's up? All right. I'm very orange. Why is this? Okay. So, little backstory. I got to be completely frank. I'm so excited that the friggin', hold on, I bring that's a little better. They're a little less rosy around the edges. Lips are very pink though. I got to work on the, let's see, how about the tint on this? Maybe the tint set to, this gonna, no, that's, all right, maybe. All right, anyways, hi. Who can say? I mean, this is pretty close to, well, no, the blue on this is it's more blue. This should be a darker blue. What's happening? I have no standard whatsoever to judge it by. Screw it. I'm all right. It's okay. So, welcome to the show, everybody. Great program I have in store for you today. I have no doubt we will be covering the gamut from breaking news to biblical prophecy, and sometimes the intersection therein. Often the immediate uncoupling of said situation and thingy. And by the way, hello chat room. How are you? Good to see you. Hi. First of all, let me just say, if I may, and I think that I can, that my room where I am doing this is so much cooler right now. And I don't mean cool as in styling, because you'll just have to trust me on that. It kind of is, but it ain't. All right, so I guess the key will be I'll just show you. So one of the things about doing video in your own home at the level that I am known to do it, and Rob Glenn will attest to this, and he'll be on the show tomorrow morning, and he'll understand more than anybody how much shit I would get thermal paste on my hand right in the middle of this. That when I put my computer together to start doing this show, I used what was kind of up and running at the time and what would suffice. Yeah. Thank you, Trucker John, for bringing that raid in here. So, needless to say, I this used to be attached to my CPU this morning. There's the thermal paste. And so in your computer, for those of you who don't know, the CPUs get very hot. And so what you do is you put this thing up against it and you use thermal paste to attach it, and then you tighten it down on it so it's right up on there on that thing. And then the heat goes through each of these slices of metal and dissipates over using the space and the area. It's very this is this form of heatsink in terms of computers is downright Amish. This is some Luddite shit. Let me tell you. I'm very, I was very proud of it when I attached it myself when I initially put this thing together. But you can see, I would like to see that. That would be chud and chip right there. That would be this thing catching all the chud and the chip because it had let's see, I think I have it here somewhere. Yeah. Talk about some fucking straight up old school Mac level technology. This was the fan attached to it. Look how gunky that thing is. And so it attaches right onto there like that. This attaches to your motherboard. This little jack right here takes some power and some regulation off there, and then it makes the air blow across these things to cool them off over time. And by the end of my show, on any given day, when the temperature is normal, yes, that's right. I got the NZXT. Oh, it's so good. By the end of my show, it'd be pretty fucking toasty in here. I gotta say, I would open up the door to my room, and the cat, even if the cat wanted to come in and see me, they'd be like, "God damn, what the hell are you cooking in there?" And the cat would walk away because while this dissipates the heat, it does not actively cool it and get it out of the way. So yeah. So today, this afternoon, I spent my morning. Yeah, it's upside down, but if I drop it, I turn it right side up. All the extra pieces will fall out of the box. I put this guy on. Thank you, Patreon people, for buying computer gear. So thank you. I installed this thing. It was sitting there tormenting me, like, go ahead, do it. But I'm like, but I have to unplug everything. What if it doesn't plug back in? Son of a bitch. And just do it. So while I'm doing that, and let me know if this is boring, because I'll keep going. So for whatever reason, the video card that goes into my computer has 4 video ports on it for monitors. It'll run 4 monitors at a time. Cool. Which is exactly how many I have, because I max everything out because I'm a maniac. But it has 1 HDMI jack on it and 3 display ports, which look like an HDMI but are frustratingly different. They have a flat edge on one side, and if you try to plug a regular HDMI, it won't go in. And if you try to plug in a display port one into an HDMI, you'll be very sad and broken. Okay, so anyways, I unplug all my shit, and weirdly enough, one of the display ports is right up against the edge of the hull of the ship. It's right up against the outer frame of the box that is the breakout box for all your wires and speakers and shit like that. And it's fucking right up against. So, and to get a display port out, it has those little clips on either side of it, kind of like the clip on an Ethernet cable, but 2 of them, and they're really little. And so I can get this one, but I can't get this one, and I'm trying everything I can. I went in with this guy. I specifically, I used this part of it, by the way. I used this little guy right here, and I wedged it against there and pushed in on this side with my finger and got it. Okay. Then that wasn't doing it. So ultimately, I had to use a pair of pliers that, like needle nose pliers, effectively, to get one wedge side of it and put the other side of it. Okay. Needless to say, it didn't work. It broke. It got stuck, and the whole wire stripped out, and the little chunk of the part that was connected to the computer was just sticking out like a piece of broken metal. It looked like the jacket turned inside out. I'll get there, Alyosher. And I gotta say, that was very frustrating. I'm like, oh no, oh dear, I'm gonna be down to like some horrifying level. Like I'm gonna have to have 3 monitors, and then I don't know, we'll use an iPad or something. Ugh. But I was able to effectively just crush it. I took pliers to it and I literally crushed the sides of it because I didn't need it anymore, the broken piece, and it finally came out. And I found another. You'll be happy to know. And I swear I'll get on with the show eventually, but cut me some slack. It's Thursday, and I found myself another display cable. Right? Oh, like okay, good. I mean I got a lot of HDMI cables. Anybody with more than one game system has a lot, or old TVs. You got shit ton of HDMI cables out there, but for fuck sake, the display ports, those are always few and far between. And every time you think you've got one, you're like, oh shit, that's a display port to HDMI. Son of a bitch, right? You need so anyways, I had one. I was like, oh, thank God, it's right there. I have another display port that I knew I wasn't using anymore, so it's right there, and I get it. And it's remember the scene in Back to the Future where the jacks come undone, and Doc Brown's going, damn, 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 and then he grabs the wire and he's like gonna stick them together, and it goes because the wire's trapped on a branch, and it's just that short of, like, son of a bitch. Okay, so I had one of those moments because the cable I had that was originally plugged in was 6 inches longer than, don't ask me how I measured, this 6 inches longer than the one that I was replacing it with, and it was like, fuck me, son of a bitch. Oh God, why the thing? Dink dink, and I was like, oh dear God. So I had to go out into the garage and like root through a box of old cables, just going, please, just let there be one DisplayPort cable in there, and there was, and it was exactly the same length as the one that broke. So, whew. Anyways, it's really cool in here right now. Like, it's cool in the room. Like, I'll show you the this is it's here, I'll see if I can show you. This is, oh, you dick. Really? Oh, that's because I switched the monitors. That makes sense. I had to open this up and change which one it was. Yeah. So it'd be the it's primary. This guy. Ah, there we go. Okay. The Kraken Elite. I just love that. Now, get out of the way, Tim Pool, you dipshit. So my CPU is 77 degrees right now. The liquid temperature is 44. It's very warm, but it's doing quite well. I will keep monitoring it throughout. The GPU temperature is 61 degrees. It was getting up in the 90s. It's not good. And it's in silent mode. The pump. I don't know why the pump has to be in silent mode. Doesn't that seem, when you put it on performance? I mean, a liquid pump shouldn't make that much noise. We'll find out. You guys let me know if you hear a noise that's annoying, because I don't. Oh, and it went up. Is that the performance we're talking about? Performance, custom silent. Okay, we'll just leave it there. And I'm going to keep an eye on it, but fingers crossed. Now, on with the show. By the way, Tim Pool is very upset. I think it's because reading is difficult for him. I think that's what it is. I think reading makes him angry. You know, it's like Frankenstein trying to play the violin. Also, Roseanne found another comedian that's crazier than she is. That's fun. Trump will probably go to this first. Trump went down to a job site and was being all macho, and his little, I don't know what this egg sac is. I'm afraid he got bit on the cheek by a spider, and at some point it's going to open up and they're all going to crawl out. But he went to a job site for a totally spontaneous gathering of people who were totally not paid to yell USA. And ew. And by the way, I would like to call this episode of Greg Kelly wishful thinking. Can it be? Glenn, we have top men looking after it. Top men. And then, oh God, sorry, I should have warned you. Something Janine and the five think that Biden's screwed. And but on the other hand, could Trump be the first president in history to go to jail? Yes. Will he? It's hard to say, but could he? Absolutely. Higher chance since Nixon's dead than anybody ever. And then, of course, I don't know why Pat Gray thinks this is a dunk. I think largely because he's a sad, lonely, broken, losery weirdo. And this is all this is because the Kennedys came out and supported Biden instead of Biden, the new RFK. Right. That's their opinion. And then I guess Glenn has a real problem. But he's like, this is why the endless wars must stop. Okay, the only endless war is the religious ones. I got news for you. The rest of Ukraine could end. That shit could be settled. Okay, cool. So, all right, yeah. And then apparently Hollywood works for Communist China, and I don't know if it's because Communist China does some sort of like, just you think, is that where the where the adrenochrome factories are? I mean, you know, it's like wage slavery. Is that what we're talking about? Who can say? Anyway, so that's our show for today. But first, chat room, hi, welcome. Everybody hit that like. Remind everybody that we're out here and that we're doing a show and that I'm trying to entertain and inform you guys and remove all the stress surrounding all this horse shit because I don't need you. I don't need you freaking out about any of this. Also, I'm wearing one of my NFTs. So we have those. Unlike other NFTs, you can touch these, and they're very comfortable. And you can get them on my Teespring store, where there's a link below on the YouTube channel, or on Twitch. There's also, I think, there's a link in there, or whatever. But merch, get merch things. I will remind people of merch. I have a little ad in the beginning, but I'm trying to, yeah. I try, Cindy. I'm trying. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to arm you guys with all the information you can stand. All the information that's shit to print. that's my gig these days. Yes, it's an NFT. Get it? All right. So back to this. We go to God. Here we go. This is that I'm sorry, but that like egg sack joke I made is now upsetting me. Ugh. I also should have, I should probably warn you guys ahead of time. Anytime we're looking at Trump, there should be a full nut warning. Check out Doc's post. Okay. What is Doc? Which Doc? Which Doc? Okay. Andre, I don't know if you can grab it and put it in there. The chat is going by very fast. We're very popular these days. I don't know if you've noticed it, but our numbers are way up. Largely because I think people have finally caught on that some of my competition that's been around a lot longer than my show has been around are always wrong. That should count for something, you know? You know that shit they warn you about and freak you out about and go, oh, dear God, oh, dear God. And it never happens. And then the stuff that I was like, hey, you know, if you vote for Donald Trump, you know, or you allow him to get elected, women's rights are in danger because he said so to Chris Wallace. And everybody's like, fuck you, fucking Hillary, warmonger, supporter, person-y thing, right? Yeah. They dare not to be wrong again. So anyways, hit that like, share the show. That helps immensely. I appreciate it. And we will, I'll check in. Hold on one second. I don't know if that was in there. Excellent. Oh, we're going to try, I think Cliff Schecter's going to be on the show. Very exciting. I'm also going to try, since I'm going to be, you know, on these, I don't want to announce my manipulative schemes, but let's just say that the folks that are in that join us on the Sexy Liberal Tour in the Q&A at the end or whatever, I'm going to try and get those as guests on my show. I think it's possible. They'll share a stage with me. Certainly they can zoom in, right? Yes, Steely Dan, the boy who cried wolf. It's interesting that a lot of the people who cry wolf, like Glenn Beck and Cenk, and is there a difference these days? I don't think so. Also, when there is a wolf, consistently go, what wolf? It's not a wolf. You want to see a wolf? See that lady over there? That's a wolf, Right. That's a big part. Anyway, so here we go. And it's so gross. I'm sorry. Like, I drew attention to this part, right? And you can't take your fucking eyes off it. Like, he's the only man whose jaw has a scrotum. That's so awful. It's just, should I hit play just so we don't have to look at it anymore? Is this upsetting to you as it is? I'm sorry. This is mean. And so, by the way, the New York Young Republicans are throwing these events for him. Just saying. Yeah, so this is the thing rolls up and then... Yeah. So they're throwing these events for him so that he doesn't feel demoralized. Yeah, so let me sign your hat, blah, blah, blah. Here's the, a few of the construction workers who like it. Real quick, if you don't mind, is it okay that is it okay with everybody if I mention that, that Trump himself, like this kind of reception that he's getting, that he's bragging a lot about. If you remember when Gotti was on trial, he got a similar reception from the same folks. Just saying. Yeah, there you go, Donnie. Yeah, Donnie. Skip through, and there's people magically. Audio's great, isn't it? It's fabulous.
Great people, great contractors and great people.
They're great contractors and great people.
And I have a lot of support. I hear the Teamsters. I've done a lot of work with Teamsters. I built a lot of buildings.
Wait, I built a lot of buildings with Teamsters. Yeah, you don't have a choice, motherfucker. If Republicans could have made New York a right-to-work state a long time ago, they would have. You notice he's not going to bring up, like, the Teamsters when he goes to Georgia or South Carolina?
With the Teamsters, and they like me, a lot of Teamsters here. And it's an amazing show of affection.
It's an amazing show of affection. It only took the New York Young Republicans and my campaign to scrounge up a bunch of these people, clear them with the Secret Service, allow them to get right up to the front of the line, bust them in, make sure they're in a very narrow area where I could stop because of the Secret Service detail that I have. It's 6 o'clock in the fucking morning. It's just so spontaneous.
But we did a great job.
But we did a great job. Like, that seems to be his current verbal tick, by the way.
I think there's maybe more Democrats, but for me they're Republicans. There's not a Democrat in there. These are people. Look at that building. Look what we can do.
Oh, it's like he doesn't think there's a Democrat amongst all those workers, which statistically speaking, the majority of them are. Even if he's talking about, like, the ones that would vote for him, they're voting against the majority of their union partners and their union friends and that kind of stuff. Because again, Biden is the most union-friendly president we've ever had.
Built a lot of great buildings in the city with these people.
These people?
And they've given me great support. They're really amazing. They're good. They're very, very talented people. They don't get the credit for it. They have very few people can do what they do. We used to do 3 floors.
Actually, a lot of people can do what they do. It's just hard work. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a choice of a job. And the fact that so many people can do it is why you have to provide a living wage and benefits and all that other kind of stuff to make sure that people don't use scabs or... I don't know anybody who would do that, though.
Floors a week in concrete.
Yeah. Now, we used to do 3 floors a week in concrete.
Very few people can do what they do. We used to do 3 floors a week in concrete.
Yeah, that's a curious thing, right? Because let's see, I for whatever reason my there you go, the mob New York concrete Trump. There you go. Let's see. Open this one up. Let's see. There we go. And I'll take the Trump part out of it so you can see the other fuller story of it. Let's see. Yeah. Now, why? Let's see. This is an article. View on Times Machine. That'll work. This is an article from 1994. Hold on. Close that out of the way. Let me see just the paper. There we go. Why would Trump bring up concrete? Why would he go, we can do 3 floors a week and blah, blah, blah? Why not construction? Why concrete? Why concrete? I'll tell you why. Because the mob is in the concrete business. And what Trump is saying in this moment is, hey, mob guys, if I'm back in, I'll help you guys with the zoning and the laws and the federal stuff, and I'll fuck the steel guys out, and you guys can get back in there and start building concrete. That's why. That's why he brings up concrete. This is from 1994. This isn't like 1970. And by the way, I'm fairly certain that Trump Tower is one of the largest concrete buildings in Midtown. Let's see. True story. Netflix Fear City hints at Trump's mob connections. The real story goes even deeper. Donald Trump is always hunting for snitches. He's quick to retaliate against perceived disloyalty and loves to reward his associates, when they refuse to turn state's witness. As his critics often point out, the president behaves a lot like a mob boss. But like a dumb one, like a cartoon one, like a silly one, like one that if he was a real mob boss would have ended up with cement shoes years earlier for some massive fuck up. But sure. There you go, Sammy the Bull Gravano, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Netflix new documentary, Fear City, New York versus the Mafia, which, by the way, is a great watch and also kind of pokes holes in the whole New York's never been worse than it is now storyline. It's, Jesus Christ, nowhere even fucking close. Okay, so, there we go. Future mob lawyer Roger to take it down. Fear City points out, doing business in broad swaths of New York's economy when Trump was a young man meant doing business with the mob, but Trump's main industries, development, casinos, and luxury real estate, were particularly infested with organized crime. And he did more business with the mafia than was strictly necessary, according to biographer Wayne Barrett. He went out of his way not to avoid contacts with the mafia, but to increase them. That's Roy Cohn right there with Trump. Trump had a personal connection to some of the city's most powerful mobsters through his friend, mentor, and lawyer Roy Cohn. Cohn, whose days were remembered as one of the most malignant figures in 20th century America, was an attorney for mafia leaders, including Fat Tony Salerno, Carmine Galante, and Paul Castellano, bosses in the Genovese, Bonanno, and Gambino crime families, respectively. When the future president's now famous Fifth Avenue Trump Tower was being built in the 70s and early 80s, most high-rises were constructed out of steel. But Trump opted to build with ready-mix concrete at a time when Salerno and Castellano controlled the concrete industry and its associated labor union. That's why he just said this. This is why he said this.
They have very few people can do what they do. We used to do 3 floors a week in concrete.
All right. We used to do 3 floors a week in construction in this city because the city used to build things and blah, 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 but regulations have slowed everything down. That's how a politician talks. But when you're signaling to the mob, you need some fucking help. And by the way, the scary aspect of, you guys knock off judges, you guys have fixed juries, haven't you? Right? That's the scary part. But he's just name dropping this. He's showing up at one of these facilities, and I would love to see a deep dive into how into the potential, concrete contacts and all that shit in this. Yeah, I'd love to see them break that down and why that particular job site.
And it was guys like this that did it, so it's very amazing.
Did you know about the... You brought up David Pecker's testimony so far. When was the last time you spoke to him?
No, he's been very nice. He's been, David.
He's talking about David Pecker. He says he's very nice, which is a violation of the gag order to talk about any of the witnesses.
Very nice.
He's been very nice. Again, he's a nice guy. As long as he keeps being nice, we don't have a problem. And he's visiting a fucking mob site, bringing up his relationship to mobsters who did concrete back in the day. It's a tacit promise. This is, does anybody else, chat room, anybody see another way to read out what this dumb motherfucker's doing at 6 o'clock in the morning on his way to court? He's not smart enough to be speaking in code. We all give him too much credit. Here's the thing, Momed and you, I don't think he's smart enough to maintain, talking in code, but he can go and signal people, and that's what this is. Even if the people around him just know that he's going to say that, right? That he'll go there and he'll bring this. You should bring up, concrete construction, because that was a big thing. Like, even the people around him know this.
Did you know, Mr. President, did you know?
What's that? Well, we have a big case today. This judge isn't allowing me to go. We have a big case today in the Supreme Court on presidential immunity.
Right. Which, if you grant Joe Biden the level of immunity you are requesting, and he is as corrupt as you say he is, and he's being puppeted by other people, you're not safe. I don't know how. This is dumb. It's like imagine, if you will, a prison warden tortures prisoners, and when he finds out that he gets caught, he turns on his sort of main 3 prison guards who were covering for him, right? And one of them and he tries to get them arrested, thrown in jail, all that kind of stuff. He shits on one of their sons. I'm just spitballing. He makes a living hell out of, for his family and all this other stuff. Makes fun of his other friend and says he's not even born in the United States because he's black, shit like that. And then he gets sent to jail. And then while he's in jail, starts arguing that the warden should have the ability to torture prisoners if he needs to and wants to. And whatever the warden wants to do to prisoners, he should be allowed to do. Do you see the sort of flaw in this idea? See, I wouldn't do it. If I was going to make the case that there should be absolute immunity, I would make a narrow immunity argument about what I did and go, I was just dealing with the campaign, and therefore I believe that part is covered with immunity. I wouldn't ask for absolute immunity. I would try to get narrow immunity to cover my ass, then get reelected, then go for absolute immunity if I was an evil dictator idiot. Right? Does that follow logically? We do recognize that innocence does not equal ignorance, and just because you can figure out a terrible plan doesn't mean you actually would do something like that. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a good mental exercise to go, if I was truly shitty, what would I do? Because then you can kind of figure out how to get ahead of these idiots.
A president has to have immunity if he...
Yeah, they do, but they don't have immunity to fix the election for themselves. Otherwise, hey, real quick, if a president has that kind of immunity where they could fix the election and stay in office, guess what? They're no longer a president. They're now a monarch. They're now a king. Dum-dum.
If you don't have immunity, you just have a ceremonial president. You won't have a president.
Did you know about the famous...
Yeah, and what does a ceremonial president do? Let somebody like Mitch McConnell write up some tax break for rich guys and then spend his entire presidency golfing and making friends with dictators so he can build properties in there. Oh, fucking hell.
You know, we have a very big case, story.
Did you know those?
He said we have a very big case. Sorry, it's somebody just asked about the Stormy question just down here, and so that's where they trigger the USA when somebody brings up, like, did you know Stormy Daniels was being paid off? That's when they do that.
USA!
It's exactly like a rally, because it is a
Talented
rally.
people, they're very smart. They know what to do. They're going to figure it out.
You know about the payments of Stormy Daniels?
Or that's the signal for him to leave. What we'll do is we'll let you talk for a little bit, and then when everybody starts chanting USA, that's time to leave. When this is how they're directing them instead of notes. Isn't that Koch? Isn't that Ed Koch's brother or whatever? Nixon's son-in-law? One of them, like, that he's meeting right there. Who just, by the way, who was obviously walking by, getting a coffee and went, wait a minute, I know that guy. What are the odds? I'll just walk up to the front of the line in a Secret Service cleared area. And sorry, I have to wear a hard hat. We're going to get rid of those terrible regulations. I got rid of more regulations than anybody. I don't believe in any kind of helmets or whatever. Ask Stormy. It's very well coordinated. It's like, you can almost see the guy trying to get people to do it. It's not taking off. Also, I gotta say, like, the guys from the job site are walking over there and looking. They don't, and some of them are filming, but they're not, like, giving him the what for. And there's, like, 3 rows of people deep, maybe spotty, between the barrier and the chain link fence. So it can, the illusion of a thick crowd, I guess. It's so weird. Anyway, so just walks around. And they get back in the thing. I'd love to stick around, but I gotta go to court, and he fucks off. And then they I don't know, this is great footage. Yep, there he is. And shaking hands with the same people because they cleared that group of people. And then there's all these guys from the New York Young Republicans, and then there's the Travis Bickle of the crowd. I'm just saying, he's probably Secret Service, but if he isn't, so they should be keeping an eye on him. And then he goes back over here. Oddly enough, he doesn't seem to be in a big hurry to get to court. Oh, we'll get to his actual legal troubles in just a moment.
We're very close in New York, I understand, and we're leading in the country by a lot.
Nope. Also, notice how he grabs her microphone? They, like, hand it to him. Because that's what this is. It's a campaign stop.
Poll just came out a little while ago, as you saw yesterday, that we're up in every swing state and up by a lot in every swing state. So I think we're going to do very well.
Yeah, phone it in, man. And keep telling people not to vote ahead of time.
And we're going to make a play for New York. They said...
By the way, the reason he's doing this is because the Biden campaign opened offices in Florida. Like, first ones since, I want to say, Gore, since Gore lost. /1.
Just heard there was a very good poll came out. Normally, a Democrat will win New York. Biden is the worst president in history, and we have some very bad people here, but we have the greatest people, and they're right behind me. And they all want us to run, and we're gonna run very hard in New York.
Okay, you are running. I mean, I think some of those people who want you to run are like, you're gonna get convicted. Run. They mean it in the same way as the precog girl in Minority Report. Right now, He needs you to run. What? Run!
New York, we have a good chance of winning New York.
No. You got 85,000 votes last time. You have, it's going to be even worse. No, you don't. And it's not like red staters are fucking moving to New York, so you're getting some Texas transplants. Fuck off.
New York, in my opinion, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to go the way the rest of the country goes.
Oh, I have no idea. They've taken my constitutional right away with a gag order.
They've taken it away with a gag order, and I wrote a little song about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll sing it to you. These people testifying against me are rats, stickers, and Jews. I'm kidding. Not at all. Hey, these people deserve to go to jail, not me. Hey, a-ba-ba-doo-ba-bing. Put the mic down. Let her hold her mic. What are you doing?
That's all it is. It's election interference. This whole thing is election interference. So the polls have just come out, and I'm...
Yes, by the way, he is true. He is right. That is true. Absolutely true. He is in court over election interference. This is an election interference against him. This is election interference was the reason that he had Michael Cohen pay off these people and had David Pecker run stories and run interference for him. It was all election interference in 2016. Now, 4 years of his presidency, they couldn't do anything about it because of and so I believe legally it freezes the statute of limitations in place. And he disagrees, not surprising.
I just got another sample. We're leading every swing state by a lot.
It was a stool sample, actually.
We're leading the nation by a lot. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He makes Jimmy Carter look great.
Jimmy Carter is great. He's a good man. Fuck you. Keep Jimmy Carter's name out of your stupid mouth.
Jimmy Carter is very happy because his presidency was brilliant.
Jimmy Carter's wife just died, who he stayed with their entire marriage. Jimmy Carter was disappointed in himself because he was unfaithful in his heart and mind at one point, he believed, when he was younger. But didn't change wives midstreams 3 fucking times. Never mind cheating on them at all.
By comparison, but this is the worst president we've ever had. He's destroying our country. Close the borders. You can do it in one phone call. You can close the borders.
No, you can't.
Close up the borders, Joe. Our country's going to hell.
Mr. President, did you know that?
That's the quote. Close up our borders, Joe. Our country's going to hell.
Stormy Daniels before the 2020 election.
So he's like, look at him cheer for me. That's the idea. And that's what that group's there. By the way, they're arranged just like the bodega crowd and all that. Well, of course they're yelling, "We love Trump." None of them have ever worked in a casino and relied on the place staying open for their job. Also, the contractors are the ones that don't get paid. The workers get paid, and then the contractor goes under when he screws them. And also, what do they care if he never pays off the loans he got on the building? They got paid, and they move on to the next one. It's a great setup. Yeah, back and forth, and then he goes over there, and then he gets in the car, and he goes to court. Huge crowd there. Huge. Yeah, I mean, who needs Madison Square Garden? Who, honestly, what? Look at the. I mean, I don't know anybody can count that high in. I don't know, less than 3 minutes, 2 minutes, maybe, possibly. huge outpouring. These are the people who we've arranged to be in this section of the block from here to here, and then another group of them across the street, and then our campaign people put people like across the street, and they'll stand next to them and try to. And anytime you ask me a tough question, they'll drown them out. Cool. All right, off we go. Get in the car. That's what this is, and it's also they're trying to keep them awake for court. This is another plan by the campaign. Like he's dozing off. We need to give him like a shot in the arm of ego to keep him awake. Because the Pervitin is wearing off. We can't get the good stuff. You know, they stopped making the good stuff in 1945. So, this is, yeah, so that, anyways, chat room, that's the big, that was the big rally this morning for Trump. Now, on a related story, Donald Trump was listed as, was listed as an unindicted co-conspirator in an attempt to defraud the voters of Arizona by putting in fake electors. And Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis and Mark Meadows, which is just Mr. Turn State's evidence. You think Mark Meadows is like the only tape he has available to give to the investigators in any of these cases is just the one where Trump was showing classified documents to his biographer? Oh no, I don't think so. And it's really just another game of like who will roll first. Now Rudy's sort of all in. Yeah, Christina Bobb, that's a new one. She's getting on the hook for this. It was eventually going to happen. She rolled in one of the other things and kind of backed away and was doing the whole I'm not his attorney in this. I don't know what the fuck that is, right? About the Mar-a-Lago thing. She signed off on the raid, you'll recall. So, but this one, she was up to her unfortunately green dress. So meanwhile, Tim Pool is very upset. It's upset. This is terrible for her. And it's not even that it's bad for her. Donald Trump is bad for America. Is there a difference? Okay, so the Democrats in Arizona indict Trump's lawyers to interfere in election. You misspelled for and interfering in the 2016 election. But I mean, I understand. You gotta keep the titles of these tight, right? This is clickbait. I get it. Democrats have crossed the Rubicon. I think it's more like they have solved the Rubik's Cube. But how many times are we going to cross the Rubicon? Does anybody know before we get a free yogurt? I'm trying to keep track. But you got to understand. Tim thinks that Donald Trump is the smartest, most capable person that has ever been president, and he needs to be in there. Or
that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
Never mind. All right, here we go.
It goes without saying. The hour is late.
Well, then shut up. All right, that's enough of that clip. Thanks. It goes without saying. You didn't even need to say it. Okay, well, let's see what goes without saying that takes 22 minutes to say.
Later than you think. Arizona grand jury in.
Sorry. It goes without saying that what?
It goes without saying. The hour is later than you think.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It's too late. I guess he's like, it's too late. Too late. Too late for love. Sorry.
Arizona grand jury indicts Meadows, Giuliani, other Trump allies for 2020 election interference. The former president is listed as an unindicted co-conspirator.
Yeah, we know. We saw that. We all had popcorn for breakfast. And
Politico reports Jenna Ellis.
Wait, Politico? How do I even know this happened? Okay, you're trusting the mainstream media. Okay, they never say anything true, Tim. You told me that. You cannot trust the mainstream media. Politico qualifies. This is all bullshit. This never happened then. They were probably not indicted, and Trump was probably indicted, and they were unindicted co-conspirators. I mean, that's the only way I could read it.
Trump's lawyer is also being charged. And what is her crime? Well, Jenna Ellis was charged in Georgia for representing Trump. This is what...
No, that's not... I think she was... I think she was found guilty of fart catching.
Lawyers do. Trump retains a lawyer, says, here's what I want to do.
And, you know, like a mob boss, here's what I want to do. I want this money to go to that person to kill that person, and you're going to drive it across town. And that is sacred.
File it for me. The lawyer says, okay.
No, they don't. No, they can't commit a crime or help you commit a crime, stupid. They can't do that. They're an officer of the court. That's why we have a bar. That's why people have to actually have a law degree. That's why you have to actually be able to represent someone in a particular state legally. You can't just, I'm a lawyer from up north, yeah, and I stroll about the country. Have law will travel, as it were.
And for this, they criminally charged Jenna Ellis. Now,
no, they didn't charge her for just showing up.
Unfortunately for Jenna Ellis, I'm not going to shed very many tears. She came out against Trump.
How dare she? You mean she rolled on him because he got her to do something illegal? She got caught, and she's like, fuck him. I did something illegal for him, not for myself, so he would roll on me if the tables were turned, and kind of has, because he blames everybody but himself.
She cried and apologized, saying, had I known what he was doing, I would not have represented him.
Yeah, she knew what he was doing, and I think they were crocodile tears, but I also think this is...
Pleaded guilty. I think she got 5 years probation or something like that. Now she's being charged in Arizona, which is absolutely fascinating, because I don't know what argument you're going to have now for Arizona, because they're going to say, Miss Ellis, you've already admitted to engaging in these crimes in other criminal cases.
Right. And do you have information about this case that perhaps you would like to share with us in exchange for your freedom? We noticed you took a deal in this other place, so we're willing to offer you a similar deal, because we would like your communications about this particular case, because we can't just try you for shit that happened somewhere else on the state level. It has to happen in this state and deal with this state, and specifically with these electors. And so you may have admitted it in Georgia, but you didn't admit to it here. So if you're willing to admit to it here, we'll give you a similar deal, 3, maybe 5 years probation, and because we'd rather have this swarthy dickhead.
Now, of course, as it pertains to this court case, they normally would say what you did in a separate case has no bearing on the arguments in this case.
Right.
That is, typically in criminal courts.
Typically. Spell it out for us, Tim.
And, you know, forgive me, I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong, but I believe this to be the case.
Why look it up before? I mean, granted, I'm in a situation where I just react to these videos as I see them, you know, raw dogging them, as it were, sans beanie. But this is your story, and your staff and your crew put together this amazing graphic display for us all to see, including the top of your fucking browser. Stay classy, Tim Pool IRL. You couldn't put a beanie on the top of your fucking graphic? That's too much to ask? All right.
If someone robs a liquor store.
Okay, I'm with you. Someone robs a liquor store.
And then, you know, a few years later, robs a liquor store.
Yeah, okay. So, different liquor store, or, this is Tim Drool, by the way, for the, sorry, Tim Poop. Dim Pool. Dim Poop. Something like that. Anyways, that's who this is. And he has huge numbers, and he's very popular on the internet. And he's got a huge show. And huge people go on his huge show. It's amazing. And he's, yeah. Sorry, guy, I lost track. So somebody robs a liquor store, and then later they rob a liquor store. Presumably the first liquor store is in Georgia, and the other one is in Arizona.
The question of whether or not the secondary crime happened will not be predicated upon the first. However, sometimes they could.
unless they are convicted in the first case and there is circumstantial evidence, they they were in the area, their phone was tracked there, they always wear a beanie, they were wearing it the first time they robbed the other liquor store, and at this one there was a person, their height, their beanie in that place, and they don't have fingerprints, but the jury can infer from the circumstantial evidence that this is a person who looks exactly like this, only slightly less blurry in person, who also did this once before. Now, if they weren't convicted, you can't bring it up because prior accusations can't be brought into court.
Could bring up the person's criminal history. The idea is we're trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt they committed this crime, and claiming they did it before could prejudice the jury as to the evidence now.
No. Claiming they did before, if they're found guilty or they plead guilty to it, that's not claiming they did it before. They admitted they did it before. We're past the alleged part, dum-dum.
Although I think most people would say, hey, if there's evidence they did it before, that is circumstantial evidence that they would be likely to commit it again, right? Well, we will see, because...
Sure. You sure you're not a lawyer? This is good stuff.
This is not a normal trial.
Yeah, it is. It's not a normal charge, but the trial's normal. I mean, the rules of evidence are the same. They're still going to have a jury. They're still going to make the same offers to people, plead people up because it was a conspiratorial crime.
Currently, as I'm recording this, Supreme Court oral arguments are underway.
Which don't have anything to do with this.
Fortunately, I will say I am disappointed. I think Trump lost a tremendous opportunity and a moral duty. He's not attending.
He has a moral duty to attend, or the judge missed out on his moral. This is stupid.
He's not attending. He's in New York for his criminal trial.
Right. Yeah. So he has a legal duty to show up in that area where he's in deep duty, and has no duty to show up in an argument on the Supreme Court because he's not a fact witness in the case. So, because it's around principle and he has none.
I wouldn't have done it that way. Trump should not.
You wouldn't have done it that way? Then you would be in jail.
Not have done. Trump should have been at Supreme Court. Now,
right. If he went, he would go to jail.
I'll tell you this. First, who am I?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I've seen a bunch of your shit, but I have no idea what's under the beanie, as it were. There doesn't seem to be any consistency except in this sort of oddly frustrated, impotent rage masked under what the hell do I know, every man skater bro attitude. But that doesn't mean that's you. I mean, for all I know, this is a learned accent. Nobody knows.
Some dude complaining on the internet. I don't know what Trump's lawyers are planning. I don't know his political campaign's strategy here.
Well, you could read a lot of people who talk about it who've been in these court proceedings before and who know the law. They're all over the fucking place. Hey, chat room, real quick. I don't know about this. As lay people have that watch the news, have you seen anybody on the news lately that is a criminal defense attorney who's done high-profile cases, or have argued cases in front of the Supreme Court, or clerked for the Supreme Court, or who have argued constitutional law issues, and or have talked about the strategy that might, benefit Trump in terms of his defense, or what might be a mistake of his attorney? Have you seen any of that anywhere besides everywhere? Honest to God, this is like Trump's bullshit. Like, hey, have you ever watched Law and Order? Do you know do you understand how it's not a good idea to testify in your own defense unless you're a singular fact witness, and they can't read anything into you not testifying? And if you believe they did, you have grounds for appeal, and that's always better than going up there and being asked a question you're not ready for and getting fucked. No. You ever Chat room, raise your hand if you've watched. You're pretty sure you've seen every Law and Order episode and most SVUs and all of Criminal Intent. And the only reason I say most SVUs is because they keep printing those motherfuckers and I can't keep up. And also, I gotta say, I can't get through some of them because they're too heartbreaking. I'm like, yeah. And Criminal Minds, yes, exactly. But that's less of the law stuff. There's just straight up courtroom stuff. Have you watched, I don't know, did you watch the OJ trial, for fuck's sake? Did you absorb, do you think this dumb motherfucker absorbed any of that? Good Lord.
Perhaps they've gone over all the details, and my thoughts are irrelevant.
No, they're not irrelevant. Everybody's thoughts have some relevancy, if only to, in some cases to show what you're thinking and letting people know or whatever. They're stupid. That's different.
Because I'm not involved and I have no idea what issues they're dealing with. But I
That's true of all the news stories you read, though, too.
tell you this.
Okay. All right. Here it comes.
I wish. And based on the surface level details, which again is not worth that much, what Trump should have done
is get thrown in jail for not showing up to court where he has to show up because it's a criminal trial.
Is shown up to the Supreme Court, to the shock of the press, because he's not in New York. He's at the Supreme Court in D.C. And he should have said, the question of whether or not a president's official duties.
Oh, boy. So we're just going to skip past the point where he has a legal responsibility to be in New York that is punishable by jail time, and he would have a bench warrant and be arrested versus he doesn't have to be there. We're just going to skip past why don't you just tell him to say fuck you and go golfing? The same thing would happen, dummy. I don't know what I'm enjoying more. His total misunderstanding of any type of legal reality, or how mad he is on behalf of Trump. Seriously, what level of daddy issues is this?
Are immune from
he's got so many daddy issues. I'm shocked he's not a stripper. I'm sorry, that was an unnecessary joke. I apologize.
Criminal prosecution, or president is immune from criminal prosecution as per his official duties, is a question that must be answered.
Yeah, well, they're going to answer whether he's there or not. It will. And him stomping his fucking feet there isn't going to change that.
And an idea that must be defended.
No, it isn't. First of all, he's got lawyers there defending it, and he wouldn't know anything about the law or procedure, or even when to argue, much less what to argue, and the holes you could dig by arguing the wrong precedent in these situations. You're in front of the Supreme Court. It's the real deal. And secondly, no, we don't want a president with total fucking immunity. That's a monarch, and that's un-American.
Lest any other president face criminal prosecution from states or the federal government after they leave office.
What do you mean, lest? Why the fuck do you think Nixon was pardoned, stupid? Seriously. Why do you think he had to be pardoned? Why Gerald Ford pardon him? Lest he be tried in a state or federal court, one would assume. Yes? Yes? This is quality programming. By the way, hit that like and subscribe to my show and share the show out and stuff, because this dude has, what, 1 million? How many millions of subscribers he has? 1.2 million people think this is news. God damn.
The presidency would not exist.
No. If they got full immunity like that, the presidency would not exist, because they would be a king, stupid.
It is my sworn duty as the man bringing the argument to defend his actions before the Supreme Court. I will be here.
Because my lawyers are shit. I saw them, I got their name off the side of a bus.
Alongside my lawyers as they make this argument, because this country matters more than me.
Okay, first of all, more than any other reason, that's why Trump isn't at the Supreme Court. Because he doesn't actually believe that. Tim has said so much dumb shit in this 3 minutes of this fucking clip. It's kind of amazing. I didn't think he could get any dumber. That is singularly the dumbest thing. The idea that somehow Donald Trump values America over himself. So that's why he was showing classified documents to Mark Meadows' biographer in the fucking dining room or the little amphitheater area next to his office at Mar-a-Lago within earshot and I guess sightline, because there's windows all over the fucking place, of everybody dangling at fucking Mar-a-Lago, including Inna Yashishin, a.k.a. Anna de Rothschild, who isn't a Rothschild, but is a Russian, who managed to walk around all over the fucking place in Mar-a-Lago and take pictures with him and Lindsey Graham and Rudy Giuliani and fuck it. But I'm sure there's no such thing as a female Russian spy who can pick a padlock.
If the judge seeks to imprison me or hold me in contempt because I upheld my sworn duty to defend this nation over my own personal well-being, then so be it.
Oh, so this is really about adjudicating whether or not he really has bone spurs and is a draft dodger. I mean, I would go straight, get x-rays of your feet, broadcast it live, don't use Dr. Ronnie Jackson or anybody. Go get actual x-rays of your feet, prove you had bone spurs that far back and they're still there, that would have kept you out of Vietnam so that you're not, found in contempt of, defending this nation.
And then he could have walked in.
Yeah, that's what he would have. He just walked in, shuffled, but yeah, and then been dragged out. By the way, you do realize it's the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would have said their ruling would have actually forced him to leave. They would have had, Mr. Trump, you are supposed to be in state court. And that's one thing we all fucking agree on, is that you can't violate the law just to be someplace to yammer. You don't think the Supreme Court would have gone, what the fuck is he doing here? Right? It wouldn't have occurred to them. Hear him out. No, he can write down his thoughts and submit them as a brief. We can fucking read. Are his attorneys that stupid?
Imagine that.
I am. I'm imagining them dragging his dumb ass out, going, Tim Pool said it would be okay.
Trump then leaves the oral arguments.
In cuffs?
Mershon in New York is like, your client is in contempt of court. We're going to lock him up. And the lawyers for Trump would just say, he, as a former president who's raised the question to defend presidential immunity,
that's up to the president. He's not the president. He's a citizen right now. He has no promise of being president again. He's not guaranteed the presidency. If it's true of him, then any person in America, because anybody can run for office, and who the fuck knows, you might be president one day, has the right to leave whatever fucking court they're in and go to this particular hearing and go, I am here to defend the rights of the president to be a king. This is so stupid. He's a citizen, dumb fuck. He's not the president currently.
He is at the Supreme Court because, Your Honor, he believes this country matters more than himself.
And we disagree. He's a citizen, and he has to abide by the laws of the country. He's not fucking special, and he can dictate what he wants to say through his attorneys. He's going to fucking jail, dummy.
Instead, I suppose we got the opposite message.
Yeah. What did we get? So that's, I see. So we've got our own inverted version, I guess, Tim, of the stroke of the pen fallacy, which is that since Trump didn't say, fuck you, Mershon, I'm going to the Supreme Court to tell him the truth because I'm fighting for America. Because he didn't do that, then according to Tim Pool, Donald Trump values himself more than America. So why would you vote for him? Right? I mean, he's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump clearly, according to you, is not strong enough, not committed enough, not America loving enough to put all of his own personal needs aside and storm up there and tell him what's what. And since he decided to just have a little like fake rally in New York and then go to court like a good little boy, clearly he hates America.
I do think it's fair to say, and I will stress this, I don't know his legal strategy.
Really? You don't? I honest to God, I thought this was some sort of like, you had the inside line. This sounds like red phone shit to me.
But I am disappointed.
I have set up an impossible idea that's fantastical and stupid, and only the biggest dickhead in the world would actually follow through on it. But of course, I'm very upset that someone else didn't do this. And of course, if I was in the same position, I would tuck my tail so far up my ass, it would straighten my spine and go right to my court and blow this shit off. But I'm disappointed that Trump is such a lazy, boring fuck who I'm going to vote for. What?
Now, that being said,
That's the prologue. Shit.
You know, as I've mentioned this before, there is a strong likelihood coming soon. We will have a Timcast IRL episode with the former president and the man I will be voting for, regardless of all this.
Yep. I don't give a shit. They cheated on his wife when she was nursing their 5-month-old at home with a porn star, and then had an extended affair with another woman and lied about it and paid off people to cover it, and interfered in the election, and had his people set up fake electors that, you know, or wanted to like get his own vice president fucking killed, or didn't actually get Mexico to pay for the wall, didn't get us out of Afghanistan, blew off fucking COVID till it killed nearly 1 million people, and somebody else had to clean up after him. Did the effective, like the health and welfare of the American people equivalent to the 2008 crash under Bush, and the next Democratic president had to come in with a fucking mop again.
Especially considering what are you going to do, vote for Joe Biden?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I voted for him before, and I will do it again. Because I happen to like the Infrastructure Act more than Infrastructure Week. I happen to like, real rising wages and lowering unemployment than sort of a bullshit fake version of it, and followed by a collapse during COVID. But keep in mind, Tim thinks that Biden shut down America in COVID, for COVID in the spring of 2020. Oh, and that he, made people get the vaccine.
There's a lot of reasons I like Donald Trump, and foreign policy is one of them.
You mean you wanted to stay in Afghanistan forever and stay in Bagram so that we could bomb China if we decided to? Not where they have their nuclear weapons, but where they make them. Because nothing says fuck you nukes like bombing the fucking place they were made after they've already launched.
And a lot of people who are more moderate are criticizing Donald Trump for his support of members of Congress and the Ukraine funding bill and things like this. Yeah, don't care. Literally don't care. Donald Trump says he's the most...
Yeah, folks, don't confuse Tim Pool's love for Donald Trump with something based on principle or even a general layman's understanding of how things work in the real world. Don't be ridiculous. This is the closest he'll ever have to a dad that he thinks loves him until they meet. And he farts in his studio.
Pro-Israel president ever. Don't care. Look.
Is that supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing? I couldn't tell.
You've got an option of the destruction of this country with woke insanity.
Woke insanity. Like bullet trains and infrastructure and low unemployment and rising wages and real adjudication of asylum claims versus just a kind of overwhelming of the border in general. Woke insanity, right?
And Joe
versus
Biden, the deep state failed.
Oh, the deep state. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The deep state. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time we get some we give the 5 Eggs Award. I can't play it on here. I don't have the audio for it right now. We haven't given out a 5 Eggs Award in a long time to anybody, and I think it's wrong. I think it's about time. Hold on one second. I'll see if I can do it through this way. I have it in here. No, it's not on this one. Sorry. I'll have it next time. He'll have to settle for this one. This is closer to Tim. There you go. So yeah, 5 eggs. The 5 Eggs Award, we haven't given it out in a long time, goes to Tim Pool, who, by the way, is not talking about this Arizona thing, even though it's up on the screen the whole fucking time. Do you have the ability to show multiple articles, or is that just beyond the bandwidth of Timcast IRL?
Failures, everything they've screwed up, the failing economy, there's no question.
No question. The failing economy. I mean, things were going so well under Trump. I could barely, and I wish we could go back to the summer of 2020. You know what I mean? The culmination of everything Donald Trump worked for.
Trump's far from perfect. Far.
That's one. He's farther from perfect than Joe Biden, actually, now that you bring it up.
From perfect. But he's actually the best president of my lifetime.
You are a silly person.
And that's, unfortunately, not saying a lot. But hey, I'll take it.
Based on what? Certainly not on infrastructure investment.
I have tremendous respect for the accomplishments that Donald Trump was able to do.
Like?
And
such as?
I think he really does try to represent the people, and that's
he tries to represent the people by doing what?
Why they're coming after him this hard.
That's why they're coming after him, because he did.
But how hard? Here you go. Arizona grand jury indicts Meadows.
You read that part already. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much the greatest example of Tim Poop IRL that I've ever seen. That if anything sums up the intellectual kiddie pool depth of that show better than that little chunk, I don't know. It's impressive. It's that something that you could use so many words to say so little, waste so much time in so little time. It's incredible, because the thing is, it's so dumb, some of us will be reminded a couple of days from now and go, fuck, that guy was dumb. And that, that's wasting time in the future. That's amazing. So Tim Poop, you are a silly person, and you are an ignoramus, and you are, I guess, morally reprehensible as well. But hey, look at it this way. One day, Tim Pool won't be doing this anymore. This won't be his job forever. Oh, wait, yes, it will. Tim Pool is going to be this guy. Tim Pool is on the road to being Glenn Beck. There is no off-ramp. There is only an ending. There is no second act for Tim Pool. That's it. That's it. Have a guitar on your wall and put out the occasional music video. You done, son. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the super chat. That was lovely. Thank you, KDR. Love y'all. Please talk about the Supreme Court argument soon. Okay, I will. Because I'm not worried about it at all. I can just put that out there right away. There is no fucking way. And you know who the hero of it was? Oh, I got to tell you. Let's do this since we got a direct request in that super chat. Let's see. I'll go here. Let's see. Listen to the statements of all people. See if, yeah, here we go.
You can see.
Now, I have to say, Amy Coney Barrett, when it comes to abortion, could not be more wrong. But apparently, she is a heat-seeking missile that only tracks one particular temperature, and everywhere else, she is. She's one of the reasons why Trump couldn't get any relief in the Supreme Court. Just for the record, let me show you real quick.
The private acts don't get immunity.
We do.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Amy Coney Barrett talking to Trump's attorney. And she's saying, thank you so much, Michael. She's saying, so you're saying private acts are not covered under presidential immunity. And they're like, yeah.
I want to know if you agree or disagree about the characterization of these acts as private. Petitioner turned to a private attorney, was willing to spread knowingly false claims of election fraud to spearhead his challenges to the election results. Private?
As alleged, I mean, we dispute the allegation, but that sounds private to me.
Sounds private.
Does sound private. You're right. Doesn't sound presidential at all. Strike one against Trump.
Petitioner conspired with another private attorney who caused the filing in court of a verification signed by petitioner that contained false allegations to support a challenge.
That also sounds private.
That also sounds private. Wow, this doesn't sound like Trump's case is about presidential immunity at all.
3 private actors, 2 attorneys, including those mentioned above, and a political consultant helped implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of
I'm going to go with private.
Presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding, and petitioner and a co-conspirator attorney directed that effort.
You read it quickly. I believe that's private.
So, Steve.
Yeah, there you go. Just for the record, Amy Coney Barrett absolutely demolished Trump's case today that any of his election shenanigans and the shit he's on trial for in Georgia specifically, or that he will be on trial for more than likely once they add him to the list of indicted co-conspirators, because once somebody rolls, somebody's going to take their place, right? Once that happens, that's going to qualify as private acts. That's not under his purview as fucking president of the United States. And that's Amy Coney Barrett singling that out. Amy Coney Barrett, Michael, we believe that certain actions all fall under, president does have immunity to carry out his duties as a president. We don't believe any of the shit that Trump did qualifies as part of his presidential duties. And that's Amy Coney Barrett. That means that's where the court is leaning. The court is going to write their opinion that way, and they're going to say that there's these certain things, we will carve it out in the future, and we'll leave it to argue later whether or not he can hire SEAL Team 6 to kill somebody, and they're on a need-to-know basis, and it turns out he used them to kill somebody because they were politically disadvantageous to him, and therefore they didn't know, but they carried out what they thought was an official duty, and he hid the real reason for it from them, and that would be a personal reason for an official act. The official act of telling them to kill somebody, not illegal. The official act of telling them to kill that person without them knowing who they were killing because he wanted them dead, because it affected him as a private citizen, as someone running for office or wanting to stay in office. Because there was an interesting piece of the law that they cover in this, which is Donald Trump, when he was running in 2020, was the president, but he was also acting as a private citizen under the campaign. So there's a future Trump that may or may not be president, who may or may not have certain privileges. And the campaign is about that. It makes him a citizen in that capacity. Does that make sense? So there's 2 tracks here. There's the president who's doing stuff for the country, and he's always doing it. And then there's the guy who wants to be reelected. I'm glad, KDR, because you should. Don't worry about this shit at all. Even Thomas's fucking... The worst thing about this is they're going to try and drag their feet to do their, just writing up the opinion so that they can punt so it's after the election. But he's fucked. He's so fucked in these cases. And he certainly, as a private citizen, doesn't have the right to retain classified documents that he did not declassify and all that shit. He's fucked. So what she's saying is that even in these cases that are being tried, we in the Supreme Court do not view those as official duties. The president might have absolute immunity, and we'll deal with it on a case-by-case basis. But that has nothing to do with this shit. And again, this isn't by the way, Sotomayor and the rest of the liberal justices, the allegedly liberal justices, because I think everybody's trying to be their own version of fair. Everybody has their own singular biases, but most of them are worried about the length of the law and the extension of the Constitution as a functional document. That's what they care about. But in this particular case, he should have been there today. I agree. So he could have been in jail tonight, you mean? Yeah. So I did say duty. It's true. I said it a couple of times. So, yeah. We said he's fucked before and it didn't happen. It's happening now, Diane. That's what this is. We're not just going to throw him in Gitmo, because that's not him being fucked. That's us being fucked. He's getting his due process, and it might be a drag, but it's a big deal based on other presidents, and that's why it should take a long time. And the process for him is way worse than the result. Once he gets to the point of, look at Alex Jones, for example. Don't look at him, but you look at him. Alex Jones, the stress of the loss up to a certain point was worse for him emotionally than when he finally got, the ruling against him. Now, since then, he's got real problems about avoiding it, but it's become a game to him, right? That's the important thing. But the leading up to it, the stress about watching it come was way worse than the actual ruling itself. He was able to just kind of use it as ammunition. Trump is similar to that, right? Trump looks at it in those terms. So once he's found guilty of shit, it's kind of like, well, fuck. All right, on to the next thing. Just like OJ, absolutely. So I'm having trouble doing a show, Jones. That's right. He can sell it. He can sell that the system's after him in a way that he never could before because he was bullshitting everyone. And now they're not even. He just owes other people money for making their life a living hell because he's a rotting piece of shit. So, anyways, Trump himself is screwed, not in the future, now. Right now. You'll recall that I also said he was going to lose the election in 2020, and everybody's like, I don't know, I don't think so, I don't think so. Work with me. Okay? Okay. All right. So, that said, now, this is the shorter one. Okay, well, let's go straight to this one. So Fox News, this is the 5. The title of this one, let's see what they think. You guys know what I think. The 5, could Trump be the first president in history to go to jail? Well, he should. Let's see.
Donald Trump could become the first president in history to go to jail, and the media is cheering it on. At any moment,
you do realize you're the media, right?
We could hear from the judge on whether he thinks the former president violated his gag order in his hush money criminal trial.
Right, but he's going to be fined first and that kind of stuff. And he also won't stay overnight the first time. They'll put him in a timeout, essentially.
Prosecutors want to slap Trump with a $1,000 fine for each of the 10 alleged violations.
And as a billionaire, he wipes his ass with them like Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man.
And they want all offending posts removed.
Right. They're not offending, by the way. They're all violating posts, all the posts that violate the gag order.
What they are not asking for is jail time. The press, on the other hand, is outright demanding it.
Again, you are the
press. The fine is not going to deter, but incarceration will. If I were the trial judge.
By the way, I would love for maybe the 5 will address this, but I agree that this asshole is not going to learn from a $1,000 fine. He's not going to. It might get him to shape up if he spent the afternoon in jail watching this on a fucking screen.
Yes, I would impose jail time.
Really? If Donald Trump continues to attack jurors and or witnesses or even court personnel, then the judge will really have no choice but to incarcerate him. That
also, for the record, both people that they've shown so far, never mind that they're both women, one of color, but both of them are saying this is because the law is a standard, not because they're out to get him. It's that he's, for some fucking reason, this asshole is allowed to violate the law. Anybody else would have been in jail, a week ago.
Could be for an afternoon or overnight.
I would give him 2 weeks of home confinement with an ankle bracelet. If he's a good boy in those 2 weeks and he doesn't violate the gag order, we can take off the ankle bracelet.
And we could have gone on, though it's unlikely.
Why don't you? Here's what you can't go on about. You can't go on about why they're right. Because they are. Because if any of the people on the panel at Fox saw a black defendant who was like obviously trying to threaten jurors and intimidate witnesses and the like by stepping out in front of a fucking courthouse and saying stuff, they'd all be like, why the fuck is this guy out walking around? This broke motherfucker. Right? The weird part is, why is it okay for Trump to do something when the rest of, when anybody else wouldn't be able to do it? And also, he's allowed to talk shit about the judge. He just can't talk about his family, and he can't talk about the staff at the courthouse and the jurors. Because that's, all those things could trigger a mistrial, which is what he's shooting for. So even if it's not like they're genuinely worried that somebody's going to get fucking killed, even if they're not really worried about that, one of the issues is that he could use it as, Your Honor, we've heard terrible things outside the courtroom. Like, yeah, because your client provoked it. There was a huge fight outside. Yes, his followers tried to Jan 6 the fucking place. This is unsafe. This courtroom is unsafe, Your Honor. We move for a mistrial because he made it unsafe.
Trump will be thrown in the slammer. His Secret Service has reportedly had preliminary discussions on what to do if he were.
Well, there is that thing about adults actually look ahead to possible problems and deal with them, even if they don't have to. If they don't happen, it's better to be prepared, Something about Boy Scouts.
It's unbelievable, Judge. What do you think the Mershon is waiting for in this gag order issue?
Yeah, why hasn't he thrown him in jail already?
What's going on?
I don't know what's taking him so long, but the prosecutors had asked for a meeting with the federal, state, and city officials regarding what would happen if Trump were to be sent to jail. And then all of a sudden the prosecutors come out and they say, we're not looking for jail time against the president for the gag order. And these people are idiots. I mean, they don't understand the criminal justice system. They are fools.
Yeah, not like Janine. Janine would be asking for jail time. That's what she's trying to tell you. She's trying to let you guys know that if given half a chance, she'd throw this motherfucker in jail. She wouldn't let this shit go on in her courtroom. That'd be ridiculous. If she was overseeing the fucking... She's in the jinx, right? She's in that fucking... Go watch the documentary about the Robert Durst. She's after this motherfucker. He's a rich, second-generation rich kid in New York real estate. She was after his ass back when she had a soul. Remember that? You think if Robert Durst was, during his trial, got to step out on the fucking steps and was, like, threatening, was saying stuff about the judge's family, saying stuff about the jurors, saying stuff about her family, do you think she would have put up with that with Robert Durst? I mean, one-to-one... It's as far as the profile and the wealth of the person, it's pretty dead on.
Okay? Number one, the guy's 77 years old.
Tough shit. So what you're saying is Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby shouldn't go to jail, and it was cruel and unusual for us to go after Nazi camp guards. Please continue.
Number two, it's a Class C felony.
Oh, and the Golden State Killer too. That guy was clearly decrepit, so why put him through all that? All he did was rape and murder women for decades, but look at him, he's pitiful.
The most you can get is 4 years. And number three, the guy doesn't have a criminal record. The last thing you would do is sentence this man to jail. Okay, but having said all...
First of all, he's not sentencing him to jail. And any defendant in a situation like this where they kept violating a gag order about a particular thing that was endangering the lives or the livelihoods or the person or the neighbors of, the fucking extended family members of, court personnel and the fucking jurors and all that shit. If there's a bunch of mob bosses, there's a bunch of mob bosses that never went to jail. There's a couple of them that didn't actually do any real time until they did. At least not in New York, I guess, right? If they did this, would you be like, let it slide? The dude's old.
All that. I looked at the order where Donald Trump is gagged, and the order says three things: that Donald Trump cannot make or direct others to make public statements. He cannot.
Yeah, that's the Jesse Waters part.
Not make or direct others to make public statements about counsel, and he cannot make or direct others to make public statements about a prospective juror. Okay? Now, I also looked up every one of the tweets that the president on Truth Social has supposedly sent that violate, allegedly, the gag order. There's no violation because he did not make or direct. All he did was repost things that Andy... McCarthy said.
Okay. He's making those statements by reposting them. That's the same thing. This is so lame. She knows this too. Look at her. So fucking lame.
Jonathan Turley said, that the editorial board said, that Michael Avenatti said, that Jesse Waters said.
Who's that?
Okay, I don't know. Okay, there is no violation of.
Yeah, there is. Being the conduit of those thoughts to someone else. If he said, if he spoke anywhere and said, I heard Jesse Waters said this person's unfit and this person's dangerous and this person's a drunk and this person is that would be a violation. Clear. What she's saying is because he did it digitally on his private fucking website that it's not a violation. It absolutely is.
Of the gag order. Period. End of the story.
What do you think, Harold? Are you giving them the judge the benefit of the doubt?
Well, I give the President Trump the benefit of the doubt in this regard. I know people don't like that, but that's just the kind of guy I am. I think a couple things. If the president, as a defendant, he's still an American who we all, if he gets a precedent that is set, then we all are able to follow it. He's special, but he's not super American because of that too. I would only send him to jail, and I would lay it out clearly to him. If you attack a juror, identify a juror, or endanger a juror, or you do the same to court personnel, I would release this to the public. You will be jailed, period. The other stuff will be $1,000 fines. I can take a little criticism myself. I think that Michael Cohen, who has been, I don't understand why President Trump can't say things about Michael Cohen, because Michael Cohen has said things about him as a witness.
Because Trump doesn't have to he doesn't have to testify. As a defendant, he does not have to testify, and therefore, you cannot weigh what he says in public against what he says under oath. Michael Cohen has to testify, and therefore, you can take what he says in public, and the jury can weigh it against what he says under oath, and if there's a mismatch, that benefits Trump. That's why. That's why he could talk. That's exactly why. Trump does not have to take the stand as the defendant. So therefore, he's never forced to be under oath and testify in this situation as a witness or a material witness, okay? That's why. It's 100% why. Shut the fuck up. If he doesn't know this, I don't know why. I don't know why this doesn't occur to these assholes. It makes no sense that this hasn't been floated more commonly around. Maybe Michael Popak, they're very smart over there at Legal AF. I don't know if they brought it up, but I feel like I'm the only person mentioning this. But that's exactly why. Michael Cohen can say things in public because Michael Cohen has to speak under oath, and the defense and the prosecution can question him about what he has said in public compared to what he is saying under oath. And the jury can weigh that against what he has said in public and what he says under oath. Right? So he's allowed to speak because it could turn against him just as much as it could be used for him. Donald Trump, because he's the defendant, does not have to testify under oath. Therefore, whatever he says out in public is free and clear, and with this assumption that I was telling the truth out there, well, get up on the fucking stand and prove it, dummy. Sit there under oath, say the same thing you said outside. I don't have to. That's why. Why is this not clearer to people? It's exactly why. It's exactly why in all these situations, because the defendant has a Fifth Amendment protection that the witnesses do not have. How? All right. Enough said. It's very frustrating. I don't understand.
Who's coming before the courts. I think that is fair game.
Yep.
But if you're going to say anything about a juror, if I were that judge...
Hold on. Did I freeze? What happened? Okay, good.
If you say anything about court personnel or their families, you endanger them, Mr. President. I don't care what your name is, what job you served in before. You're an American. You will go to jail. Other than that, I'd fine him, and we get on with the trial.
That's what they are doing. Still doesn't speak to what I've mentioned.
Jesse Waters.
I mean, Teflon Don's a slippery little sucker.
Teflon Don. He's in court right now, you dumb motherfucker. He just lost. Teflon, apparently, I must have missed the civil trial against the makers of Teflon that cost them $500 million.
And he survived bankruptcy, Access Hollywood, the Russia hoax. And
yeah, but that's because assholes like you are willing to cradle his balls in your mouth like a baby pelican.
Impeachment, January 6th, he was left for dead. And the man's got 9 lives. And the
Well, I think he's on 8.
Democrats know he's such a threat because he beat Hillary, and the only reason he lost to Biden was because of COVID.
Is that the only reason? Just because it happened? Everybody, there was something in the disease that made people vote Democratic?
And the CIA and the FBI.
And because he didn't get as many votes.
So they see him as a threat because he can play on their turf.
Also, and the CIA and the FBI? Oh, you mean them looking into the shit that he did?
In the Rust Belt, and he can play in their base with blacks, Hispanics, young people. And so
all people that Jesse can't stand.
They've decided to stop.
I'm kidding. He likes very young people, I hear.
Politicking, and they just want to incarcerate the guy. And they caught him. They trapped him in a cage. We call it a courtroom, but it's a cage. And he's like King Kong. And they're sending.
Yeah, he's exactly like King Kong. He throws shit and right when you think he's your friend, he hits you with his fist, and everybody close to him gets crushed. But anybody who's smart enough to stay far away from him has some really cool pictures they can show.
Out down there, and she's looking at him like an animal. She's like, oh, man, his hair is really orange. Look at his eyes. Look at his lips. He's angry. He's mad. He's upset. Watching him. They're not providing any sort of legal analysis.
No, they're doing a lot of legal analysis, but they're also talking about his demeanor and how he's handling it, because part of the storyline of Donald Trump is his bravado, that nothing bothers him. The Teflon Don bullshit, which is clearly not true.
He went down there, he's like, well, he's bigger than I thought he was. I mean, they're acting like it's like a zoo creature.
Well, yeah, I mean, most women view him as a zoo creature, you know? Like, I don't want to get close to that thing. I hear they'll grab you by the pussy.
And what happens with King Kong? You remember?
He dies in New York. That's a terrible. No. What's wrong with you?
Boom! It's not going to be good.
Boom! It's not going to be good. But you think this ends with him climbing to the top of the Empire State Building, and killing a couple of biplane pilots?
So he's going to bust out of this cage eventually.
He's in a fucking cage. He's in a petting zoo.
They're not going to be able to keep him down.
You don't have to. He's keeping himself down. Look how emotionally upset. Like I swear to God, does he like go for drinks, like Zoom drinks with Tim Pool? Is that what this is?
Kill King Kong.
Yeah. He took a white woman on top of a building, and it was frowned upon in the 40s.
I don't think I saw the end of that movie.
Yeah, it was a bad day for.
It was a bad day for King Kong.
Kongs everywhere.
Well, I think
yeah, New York sucked for King Kong. It's interesting that Tyrese is bringing that
King
up.
Kong 2 is a little bit different.
Jesse, end it while you can.
Yeah,
Tyrese,
1%'s not going to save you, Briz.
What did you think about that media montage? Like,
Here.
Montage? There's 3 clips.
Oh, man. It just, Jesse with King Kong is just completely blown my mind. I think
I don't remember. Play it again.
To quote Star Wars, I think the problem is they want to put him in jail.
I don't remember. Was that Star Wars? That must have been the prequels. I hated those fucking things, so I must have missed that quote. Who said that? Amidala? That's that must have been something Jar Jar Binks said, because I totally missed all that. They're gonna put him in the jail cell.
Desperately, the judge wants to put him in jail. It's just they're a little. These progressives are a little cleverer than I thought. On this one, they're awake, not woke.
Okay, I think these progressives are a little cleverer than I thought. I guess the rebels were more clever. Is that what he was trying to? I don't know. That was bad. That was a fucking reach.
Because is the risk worse?
Yeah.
Worth the reward with President Trump. You lock him up, he's a martyr.
No. Usually martyrs die. He doesn't, unless you're saying he'll die in jail, which I guess, are you calling him a piece of fresh meat? You don't think Trump, the toughest, hardest motherfucker ever to come out of New York City, won't come out with a couple of teardrop tattoos and a fucking Jesus on the cross back tattoo at this point? I mean, come on.
And you inspire, you will get voters that'll be like, you know what,
I make the greatest shivs you've ever seen. These are high quality. You could cut Trump steaks with these shivs. They are so sharp that, well, not Trump steaks. Obviously, those are too hard to be even cut with even the finest cutlery. We pride ourselves on Trump shoe leather, we called them. But
staying home as a Republican. You're going to rally the base. You're going to rally the independents. You're going to rally the libertarians who are like, this man's being put in jail.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to rally them because he just can't for fucking 6 weeks hold his tongue about something. If he's that fucking dumb and he can't act like a normal person for 6 fucking weeks, why would you put him in charge of nukes for the second time?
For what is thin to nothing. We've seen to where people have said horrible things about our Supreme Court justices outside their house, and we're still waiting for them to be arrested. So this administration has been very lax. So now,
who would that be?
Now you're seeing them, they're going to lock him up. You are just doing his campaigning for him. That's why they're struggling. You want to find him $1,000? The dude just dropped 2 Halliburtons of almost $1 billion in the thing. Like, you think that's going to...
Oh, yeah. Don't say dropped $500 million about Truth Social stock. I'm just saying. You do realize he can't sell that shit. And if he tries... anytime soon, it will be fucking horses busting down the barn door. That'll be the hottest short sell you have ever fucking seen. The minute he tries to cash out 1/3 of his fucking holdings, which is what he would need to have it be a meaningful amount of money, the stock goes to 45 cents.
Hurt him? It's not. They're stuck right now. They made a big move. We'll lock him up. They expected to scare him. And then O'Donnell was like, do what you got to do.
Should they put him in jail for attacking a juror?
Yes, but they didn't. They didn't wait until he did that.
Where did he attack the juror?
He didn't. No. He's asking me a question hypothetical.
Judge, I'm saying this would be what I would lay out if I were the judge.
But the judge laid it out.
But the judge already played it out.
You know whose fault that is? The judge. The judge should not have.
The judge didn't make it clear enough that the gag order says you can't make statements or make someone else make statements attacking a juror. He can't understand that.
Allowed any information out. But under this gag order, Trump did not violate it.
Judge, you asked me a question.
Yeah, he did. This is her fallback is a retweet isn't a statement. It's almost like that retweets and quote tweets are not, the opinion of the tweeter or whatever. Well, on Truth Social, it's his fucking network. Of course it is. He only posts shit that agrees with him or he agrees with 100%. Have you ever seen a 20% Trump truth sinkhole post where he's like, I don't agree with all of this, but there are a couple of good points here I think people could parse out for a while. What do you guys think? Have you ever...
I was just trying.
I answered it.
Are you sure King Kong died at the end?
Yes, he got the white woman, and they were fine. But once he got to the top of the building,
I thought he was up there on the top of the building.
He was up, and they shot him down. It was 1946. We've come a long way from that.
All right.
Well, it's also the 1977 one as well, or 78, 77 one. Same situations. It's just it was the World Trade Centers because they both look like the 2 mountain peaks on Kong Island.
Right.
My wife is.
Click here.
I don't know what that was. That was something about a white woman. I think we'll just leave that where it is. I think that I will say we'll leave it with this. If anything exemplifies how much Jesse Waters has no idea what he's saying, even after the words leave his face, it's that King Kong reference. Of all the people on that panel, and certainly of all the people on the nighttime lineup at Fox News, nothing exemplifies like idiotic blather, the Carl Pilkington idea is that sometimes if you just keep talking, your mouth will come out with something good. That is the methodology of Jesse Waters. It has just never actually been true. So, yeah. Oy. Anybody ever watch the Ricky Gervais show with Stephen Merchant, the cartoon that they did with Carl Pilkington, or An Idiot Abroad with Pilkington? And one of the prime aspects of Carl Pilkington is not that he's dumb or that he says a lot of stupid shit, is that he's kind of dismissive and mean-spirited if you dig down deep enough, that he's not a nice person under all that shit. And it's very telling. It's funny, but only because he's such a dick. If he was that stupid and he meant well, you'd be like, this is not fair. That's a shitty way to treat somebody. But it's the fact that what he's saying is equally morally reprehensible and dumb. The Diary of Carl is the new holy book. It totally is, VJ Kodak. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That it's the mixture of those things that makes it okay to make fun of him in that regard. If he was just kind of an innocent dope, it would, same thing with Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is a prick. And that's why it's funny when he, gets his comeuppance or he's frustrated. That's why it's funny. Right. Well, it's not satire in that case, because if Mr. Bean is, but the Ricky Gervais show, those are real people. Carl Pilkington is a real dude. Those are his real thoughts. And he does have a perfectly round head like a tangerine. If you haven't seen those, just look up the Ricky Gervais cartoon. It's all over YouTube. My kid loves it, and we laugh at length at some of the insanity in that. It's hilarious. But honest to God, Jesse Waters, while physically he is Stretch Ben Shapiro, intellectually and morally, he's like dark Carl Pilkington. Monkey News. Oh, he's gone and written it down. Monkey News. So yeah, just saying. There you go. Like Bill Maher lately. I don't know what. Here's the thing. Maher doesn't know what he stands for. Maher has gone from a relatively reasonable political satirist to someone who thinks that Twitter is a window. Does that make sense? That you look at Twitter and you're like, that's the world. This is the same as opening my drapes. What I'm seeing on here is a total one-to-one reflection of the world if I went outside, which is a big fucking problem. And there are isolated people, especially in the celebrity class, that somehow don't think they're elites, that operate in this kind of bubble, and they believe this, right? This is, and by the way, what a great segue into Roseanne and Jim Brewer. And he's saying Dave Chappelle was visited. This is, I'm guessing, Illuminati shit. We'll see.
And me and Chappelle at that time.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. You and Chappelle were best buddies.
We're very close, and
yeah.
Me and him would talk shit for hours.
Yeah, totally. Dave Chappelle never trusted anyone as much as he trusted Jim Brewer, a person who he has never mentioned or been around since they shot a movie together.
Hours, and I thought he was way too far into it, but what he was saying was right on target too.
Yeah. That's what.
Yeah, totally. Whatever that was. It's good to start the video with everybody going, "Fuck are you talking about?"
He left for a while, didn't he?
He's deep.
He's deep. He's very deep. He was. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to fuck up everybody's conspiracy theory, but these assholes probably think Prince changed his name to a symbol because he lost his mind, and not because Warner Brothers owned every iteration of his fucking name, and he said, "Fuck you. Tell you what, I'm going to change my name to a symbol. You don't own that, and people will pronounce it however the fuck they want." And he was right. And then as soon as that contract was up, boy, they were back to calling him Prince, weren't they? Did you notice that? Did you notice that as soon as the Warner Brothers contract was over, all the fucking sudden, Prince could use his own name again? And he did. And it was like, I thought he lost his mind. That's because you're fucking stupid and you don't realize how genius he was and how he pushed back against the draconian aspect of the contract that he was in. Now we go to Dave Chappelle, who, after 3 seasons of Chappelle Show on Comedy Central, a notoriously cheap channel, under the VH1 envelope of those things, the biggest show they had ever had at that point, obviously a breakaway, signed a contract with them for what seemed to be an enormous amount of fucking money. $50 million for 3 more years of Chappelle Show and his first like 3 or 4 movies like that he did after that or during, right? And that was is very much, they tried to pull a Lorne Michaels. Lorne Michaels, when you're on SNL, Lorne owns a piece of the 5 movies you do after you leave SNL. It's why, in many ways, Mike Myers saved. It's why he did whatever. So I Married an Axe Murderer, and Wayne's World 2 when he did, because he had the idea for Austin Powers and he didn't want to have to give it away. He didn't want to owe, 35% of what he knew was going to be a great character and a great idea. So he put it off. He finished his 5 movies, and then the next project was Austin Powers. You understand that you can think like a business person if you're an artist? Okay. So Chappelle gets offered $50 million for, I believe it was either 2 or 3 more seasons and a couple of movies, very similar to the kind of deal people get on SNL. Okay. And before the ink was dry, while they were negotiating that part of it, he had shot Block Party. If you'll recall, Block Party was this movie that was like stand-up and music, and he did it in this kind of like run and gun, almost like a documentary, just like shot it in one night. Was meant to be kind of a music and stand-up special, but in theaters, right? Okay, so they filmed that. Then he signs on the dotted line, and Block Party they finish editing it, and they put it out, and wouldn't you know it, it makes $115 million. Block Party made at that time, it's made more sense, I guess it's been stacked up over the years, $115 million. And it cost him about $150 to shoot and edit and put together and all that shit. About $150 grand. The whole thing cost $150. He made it $125, $140 by the end of it. So suddenly that $50 million deal from Comedy Central for 2 more seasons and 3 movies doesn't look like a good deal anymore. It looks like they're using you. Right? It looks like you just signed a really fucking terrible deal. Now, there's only one way you can get out of a contract like that, because you already signed it. What do you think the option you have? What do you think? There's only a couple. You can be physically ill, and they're going to want to see a doctor's note, or you can be mentally ill, and nobody can check. You can lose your mind and have a nervous breakdown and basically just vanish. Right? You can't give back the money. They haven't given it to you. You owe them that show. You owe them the production unless you just can't make it happen. So you lose your mind. You go, I can't do it anymore. You act crazy. You go run off to Africa or wherever you're going to go. You Charlie Sheen it. That's exactly right. And you're sitting on $140 million, and that contract evaporates. You don't create a show. They don't have to pay you the money, but we're all quits until the period of that contract, which was this or 10 or 12 years, whatever the fuck it was, till that ends. It's more than I think it was something like 8 years was the contract. These seasons and these movies in an 8-year period of time, we guarantee that this will all be done, right? And then what happens? 8 years later, he fucking shows up at the Fillmore, starts doing stand-up specials all over again. This Netflix special after Netflix special after Netflix special, just cranking this shit the fuck out. It's almost like he was perfectly fine and writing that whole time, and that he had to play fucking Illuminati nutcase the entire time to get out. But how you sign a deal, it's a deal, buyer beware. I agree, Casey, but I'm telling you, that's how you get out of it if you want. It's the only way. Physical or mental illness is your primary out. That's what happened. I'm telling you. He's not crazy. He wasn't crazy. I wouldn't doubt if he sat around with his attorneys and said, they went, there's only one way. You got to act like a fucking lunatic for a couple of years, and then they'll not want to have anything to do with you. And then you're free of it. That's how you do it. If you can't change your name to a symbol and not perform under your name anymore, which is what Prince did. Because they didn't have the right to stop him from making music. They just owned the right to his name in case he wanted to put out music, and he couldn't release music under his own name, so he changed his name to a symbol until the contract was dead, null and void, and then he went back to being Prince. There was nothing crazy about it. It was fucking business. But a physical illness you have to prove, because that kind of money, they're going to want a real checkup. They're going to pay for their own doctor to make sure you're not fucking with them. But mental illness, you can kind of say whatever the fuck you want. How do they know? How do they know you're not anxious and freaked out? So there is a sanity clause after all. It's an excellent point. What about Martin Lawrence? See, Martin Lawrence wasn't in a contract problem. He had an issue. That's why that's essentially, he didn't end up making any more stuff, but that might have been one of the ideas or where they got the idea. So I'm just telling you, Dave wasn't sick. Dave concocted this to get out from under this contract that would cost him more to crank out more work than he would have made. And, by the way, in the process, fucked Neil and everybody else who was working on that show out of their livelihood for the next 4 years, at least. Because that's the other thing. When you do that, it's not you that loses the show. It's Neil and it's Donnell Rawlings and it's fucking Bill Burr at that time. Whoever else. They lose their job. I know, Grandma. I'm very proud of them. They're lovely people. Super chat people. You're so good to me. Thank you. That's what happened. I mean, people can disagree with me, but I'm telling you that's how it went down. Yeah, Charlie Murphy lost his job. They're all back to, they were all touring, doing fucking clubs, trying to milk the fact that they were on the Chappelle show for as long as they fucking could. They all went back to road humping. And they did well. A lot of them did well. But they would have done a lot better if they had a show in the air. And if you ditch a show like that, it ain't just you. That's my problem with it. And I would sit across from Dave. I don't know him, but I swear to God, I would. If I was ever in a situation, I would call this bluff in a fucking second. And all this Illuminati horse shit, the industry turns you into monsters and all this bull. Fuck off. Nonsense. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Yeah. At least that's what I was.
Well,
that's true, but
I know shit about.
I know a contract dispute happened.
Wait, she knows shit about him. Okay, yeah, you do, Roseanne. Go ahead.
But
I'm going to beat the shit
I could
out
say,
like in Africa
if I
or
ever
something.
run into him, I will give him a very slight, quick slap right upside the head.
Was that?
It won't hurt.
Was that?
But it just needs a little reconfiguring there.
My mother's a very proud Jewish woman.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
and his whole not liking Jews thing. Don't take it personally. It's all bullshit.
said some things that he don't understand why he's saying, but he just needs some reconfiguration. You know, where their eyeballs go like this, then they're reconfigured. I do.
Oh, she really thinks that she has magic slaps that can make people, I guess. Sorry, I'll turn this down a touch. That make people. Oh, gosh, fucking like just when I was like, see, some that's a great example. Some crazy is fake. This crazy is real.
Do that a lot to help people, especially black.
Yawning at her. Tell me that part about how you smack people, especially black people, and you make them think straight. Yeah, wait a fucking second. What?
They're reconfigured. I do that a lot to help people, especially black people nowadays, because they're really lying to them.
Uh-oh. This is the moment when Jim realized he didn't have a ride home. And getting out of here and calling an Uber while running would be very difficult.
They're really lying to him, and it really upsets me.
You didn't like that he said the Jews.
I don't like that he said the Jews. That
one
pissed
group.
me off about Chappelle.
Right. She's like, no, not the Jews, just Zelensky. That Jew. He's not a good Jew. He's not the Jew.
Yeah. You
I didn't hear
you
it,
can't
so
say
tell me.
the, because I can't say, the blacks.
That's
you don't,
true.
You just don't go.
It's a good point. Yeah, you can't. It is true. You can't do that. Fuck me. Can you imagine being on this goddamn couch? Like, what have I... How in the shit did I... Can I use your bathroom as a safe space to call an ambulance for you?
The Italians, I'll tell you what, you say...
And lump them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Remember the good old days?
There's more than one kind.
Well, that's so sweet. Hey guys, look, growth. It can happen.
Correct.
You don't go the Jews. Now it's just bigotry.
Yeah.
You got to go. There's bad and good and everything.
There is bad and good in everything.
That's right, and that's the root of comedy. I think the greatest thing in comedy is when you go, look, there's bad and good in everything. Right now, my brain is full of bad jokes, and I'm not saying them because that would be a good thing to do.
And
in
you
everything
can't just
and
say
everything.
all of them are one way.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you can, but you'd be wrong, I think, is the primary reason why not to say. I mean, it's morally reprehensible as well, but primarily, I think you'd be more concerned in the beginning with just being, because it's one thing to be gross and bigoted or racist or, a shitty human being in general, but on top of that, to be wrong at the same time, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
For
Correct.
fuck's sake, I'll slap him.
I think
real
that's
light.
Well, I
Slap
haven't
would work.
spoke to him.
Just like this.
Yeah,
Dave,
well,
You guys still
you could do a
don't
little
speak.
harder.
I probably
I
could.
think you got.
Yes. These are, just in case you just joined us, these are the three white people talking about slapping a black guy and arguing about how hard you can do it. Yeah. This is wow.
A little harder there. But I think
What happened
Boy, it's going to be hard to get this train back on the tracks there, Jim.
between you two? Did you fall out?
Well, it certainly wasn't over the whole the Jews thing. I mean, he was fine with that until you brought it up. Nice, Roseanne. Home wrecker.
Or did you just go different ways?
no. We I think different ways, but I'll put something out there
Uh-oh.
that I don't know if he
Wants me to put out there.
when we were filming a movie.
Half-Baked. Right, which is the movie I was saying the one time you hung out and you haven't since, but you talked all the time and you were basically like brothers while you were working together, and then it was just over because, that's the business.
And he also had a lot of pressure
Yeah.
from HBO and or not HBO, Comedy Central.
Yeah. HBO would be real pressure. Comedy Central, not so much pressure at that point. Just saying. What was the pressure? You had a show. You had to be funny. You had to make 14 episodes a season of sketch comedy? Jesus Christ.
All this shit,
Central,
right?
the worst bunch of people on earth.
Horrid.
Yeah, for the record, the people at Comedy Central, while I guess there's high turnover rate there, so I don't know which group they're talking about, and I don't know at which point the Charlottesville marchers, for example, ran Comedy Central apparently during the time that they're talking about. But I would just like to go on record as saying not the worst people in the world. I'm just saying there are entire prison wings that are dedicated to the worst people in the world, and none of them are funny.
He then, while he was on the show,
He's calling him a heathen? Will this never stop?
when it was blowing up,
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure when your show is a hit. The pressure of it going well, especially when you have a sketch comedy show where you get to film everything and it's not in front of a live audience like SNL, and you get to do fewer episodes and they're only a half hour, and then you get to spend 8 minutes an episode just acting as a bumper and introducing the clips just in case people don't get the premise from the writing. It's a great business model.
And we remember the Aspen Comedy Festival? I don't know.
Yeah, that was fun. I did that too.
Oh, I have some Aspen Comedy Festival stories. I will say, I met John Ritter there for the first time, and Amy Yazbek, his lovely wife, his widow. I met them when they were both there, and they were looking for a vegetarian restaurant, and they were having a hard time, and this is before Yelp. And so I took it upon myself to scour the area. And then when we ran into them later that day, me and my buddy Brian and Chris Bono and Brian Crow and Chris Bono, we were up there together. And I was like, hey, here's a couple of places. We found 2 places that have, one place has vegetarian options and one is completely vegetarian. And this should cover you guys for the entire time you're here. And Amy gave me a hug, and John was very sweet, and they're lovely fucking people and always will be. And he was just a good person. And that's my memory of the Aspen Comedy Festival. Also, I wore a silver jacket the entire time I was there. And there was a girl who was a part of a sketch group that they'd gotten a deal, and she was so stressed out. And at the end of on the big party at the end of the night, I went down there. I was never invited, by the way. I always went on my own and just schmoozed. I auditioned a bunch of times, but I never got in. But I got more deals out of it than the people who performed. It was very strange, mostly as a writer, and then a bunch of stand-up gigs, because I'm a weaselly motherfucker. And anyway, so I was walking around that thing, and I saw, sitting at this table, this lovely young lady, and she was crying by herself at this table. And so I went over to her. This is a true story, chat room. Went over to her, and I sat down, and I went, hey, you don't know me, but is there anything I can do? And I wasn't trying to pick her up. She was very attractive, but I was already, in a relationship at that time, and I was cool. So I was like, if there was a dude crying, I'd have talked to him too. Just saying. But I sat down with her, and I was like, is there anything I can do? She goes, no, I'm just freaking out because we did all these shows, and we worked really hard, and I don't know if anything's going to come of it. And every day all this pressure was on this, and now it's over, and we don't know if anything's going to happen from it, and yada, yada, yada. And it was just, it was the stress of all of it built up and the release of it. And I said, look, I didn't even get a gig up here. You know how I got here? The woman who books the thing, I got booked on a showcase for Aspen at the Improv. I did the best out of everyone, and she wanted 2 other people to come up here that were her hip pocket clients. So she got them on the list and made sure I didn't, and called my manager and said, there is nothing special, this is a quote, there is nothing special about Hal Sparks, and he will never do any work of note. This is obviously pre-Queer as Folk and all that stuff. But anyways, by the way, that lady, side note, that lady does not work in the business anymore. She quit a long time ago. True story. And she went out of her way, basically so I wouldn't complain and go, what the fuck are you talking about? I had a great set, best of the night. Everybody thought so. What the hell? She just figured that would make me slink away. So I used what little fucking money I had and bought myself a plane ticket to Denver, took a bus up to Aspen, rented a room with 2 of my friends, and I had some writing money, and I spent it all at Aspen just getting us there. I had $20 to my name the last night we were there, and I bought I used half of it to buy the guys in Monty Python onion rings because I saw them at a restaurant. So this is a true story. So anyway, so I'm sitting there. I was talking to a girl who had a deal practically and had been brought up there and was doing this, and I had just spent my last $15 on like food for myself and $10 worth of onion rings that were the specialty of this restaurant, sending them to Monty Python because that's all I could afford to send them. And this is a true story. And so I'm sitting there, I'm telling her, like, I hear you. We don't know if this is going to work out. I really don't. But what I do know is you did it. And all of this stuff, all of these things we do in entertainment are rungs on a ladder. And all my heroes are hilarious and old. And so my career arc, I want to be Burgess Meredith. I want to be Hume Cronin. I want to be Alan Arkin. I want to be Mel Brooks. I want to be an old man who's funny and shit. And I got time to stack that in my career and crank out comedy over that. And so do you. You don't have to win right now, but you got your foot on a rung that other people wish they did. You're only stressing out because you think it's supposed to be the top, and it isn't. You did this. That's all this is, and congratulations. And that is the long and short. That was the conversation I had with her. It's a true story. And so she ceased to cry for the most part, and she said, "I gotta say, my friend and I have been wondering who you are the whole weekend." Because I wore this silver jacket that I got. I couldn't afford a winter coat and a regular coat, and I had no idea what the weather was going to be like. So I bought this silver jacket on Melrose that was like, it was like plastic. It was like it was like wearing like a layer, just wearing a super thick layer of tire rubber. I was like, I zipped it up and I was like, Jesus Christ, things like a sauna. So I was like, this will work as a winter jacket. And if it's cooler, I can still wear it and I'll unzip it and I'll be fine. That was my thought. I can only afford one thing. This will do it. So I walked around. Yeah. The whole time. Do I have it? Hold on. I don't know that I have it here. I don't. It's, I know it's here in the house. I'll show it to you. I'll remind me and I'll see if I can find it for the morning show. I still have the jacket. Because the coat, whatever. Anyway, she was like, we keep seeing the man in the silver jacket. We kept calling you the man in the silver jacket. And we're wondering, who the heck is the man in the silver jacket? Because it's so fucking bright. It was also because I was like, I will stand out and people will see, who the fuck I am at this thing, right? Anyways, and I don't think I ever gave her my name. And I was like, well, I'm glad the man in the silver jacket didn't disappoint you. And I went, I tell you you're going to be okay, but you're going to be way better than that. And I fucked off. I just figured it was a good time to like bow out and not press. There was too much pressure in her situation already. Like, here's my number. If you need something, call. Or blah, blah, blah. That wasn't necessary. I had done my sort of universal spiritual duty in that moment, if that makes sense. And I moved on. True story. So my experience at Aspen was lovely. Also, Monty Python got together for the first time since Graham Chapman had died, and they brought an urn on stage that had Graham's ashes. So all of them, it was a full reunion. And then halfway through it, John Cleese uncrossed his legs and kicked the urn over and knocked Graham's ashes all over the stage and just spilled his ashes everywhere. And then a person came out with a dustbuster and just started cleaning him up. It was so fucking good. It was so fucking funny. I'm pretty sure it's online if you want to see it. It was, God, it was great. So fucking great. That was in Aspen. That was the Aspen Comedy Festival. It was so hilarious. And they had the person with the dustbuster ready to go. It was so nice. And it was so fucking subtle. Cleese didn't even, they're talking about a bunch of shit. They had definitely set it up as when they were going to do it. And the timing was fucking gorgeous. It was so good. And Graham would have loved it. Yes, absolutely. All right. So anyways, let's go back to these assholes shitting on Aspen like it was probably a den of iniquity or something. I don't know.
He came there and he was freaked out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe he just didn't ski or something.
I said, what's going on? And all I could say is he was visited.
Yeah.
What, by the ghost of Christmas past? He was visited?
That's what I think too.
That's what you think? Visited by what? Aliens? The Yeti? Get the fuck out of here.
Sorry.
And when
Sorry. I know. Neither do they, Siri. Forget it.
he told me who visited him, my heart stops for a second.
Oh, is the guy who visits him?
I'm like, get the fuck. And I'll never forget, he went, you believe me, right?
Who? Say it then. Who visited him? Who? Who visited him? You're going to have the heart attack anyways.
You believe me, Jim, right?
About who? It's like, yeah, of course. The Jews. Like, that would be, oh my God. Would that not be the funniest fucking moment? Look at Roseanne. She's leaning in. And like, he was visited. She's like, I know. Like that. And like nobody wants to believe him, whatever. He was visited by the Jews. Like, it is, I mean, I got to say, as a setup, be so fucking funny, you know. Yeah. Obviously, we know he was visited by the kidney.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh, good. All right. I was worried there for a second.
And I could, he's like, they came to me.
The Jews? Sorry.
And he said the names. I'm like, get the fuck.
Jim Morrison? Who? The 27 Club? Who? Say their names. You can't, what happens if you say their names, they don't show up? Say it.
And what happened?
What happened? I don't give a fuck what happened. Who? Who the fuck you talking about? In your bullshit lie of a stupid ass story.
And then all of a sudden he went to Africa.
Yeah, that's what I remember happening. But they never.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. No, it didn't.
Never really said what happened.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. He realized he was getting screwed with the fucking Comedy Central contract. He could make more money everywhere else. He'd already made more money than they were ever going to give him. And so he basically retired for 8 years till the contract ran out. And the only way he could do it was by acting fucking crazy and telling dumbasses like Jim Brewer that the Jews came and told him to eat a baby or some shit. But fuck off.
Were you threatened? I mean, I don't know how much you want.
I don't have.
You can't.
That's none of my business.
Okay.
Of course he was threatened. What do you think? They show up and they offer him a hand job? What are you talking about? Why would your heart leap if they didn't threaten him? What? Like, no, they were offering him everything. In exchange for what though? Nothing. They just liked his work. Oh my God.
But I know for a fact
He was corrected.
he said correct.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean correct? What? He's doing the same jokes he did on the show now, just meaner and without other actors involved. What are you talking about? What's the difference? Seriously, what's the fucking difference? What changed? Did he become like a fucking like pseudo-Christian where he won't swear anymore? Like what he got whispered to and then he went away for a while and he came back and was like anti-woke because that's what the establishment wants? Like, explain to me how the Illuminati drove him off the Chappelle show because of what he was saying there, but they're fine with what he's saying now because they're for woke. What the fuck are you talking about? God damn, this is dumb.
He was, hey.
So it was Henry Winkler. I knew it. I knew he was too nice.
By whoever it was.
Well, who was it then? He told you. I'll tell you who it was. It was the man in the silver jacket. That's who it was. I visited him. I said, knock it off. You're never going to make that kind of money, with Comedy Central. You just made all this money on this movie. Just tell them you're nuts and go to Africa and freak out for a while. They'll get over it. And then reinvent yourself in a couple of years. Work for Blink 182. And he was like, oh, shit. And then he promised me a studio and a bunch of, like, money, but I can't get it for another 3 years. So here I am humping this and building this in my basement. That's what happened. Dave, you owe me. I mean, or whoever you are or whatever.
Hey, we need to have a conversation.
Why are they whispering if they're not threatening him? We need to have a conversation. We are having a conversation. No, we got to have a real conversation. That involves words, I guess, or...
Would you like some of your own coffee in your house?
What?
Yeah, like that heavy shit.
Would you like some of your own coffee from your own house? We got this out of your cupboards and nobody knew we were there. We come and go through the walls. We're the gray aliens, and we can get anything. This is fucking gorgeous. This is wonderful. This is some of knowing that these three assholes, that the bandwidth in their brain is ate up with this stuff 24/7 is so reassuring to those of us who would like to just get on with our fucking lives. Because if they were any less far gone than this, it would be, you'd run into them more. You know what I mean? They'd be out in public yammering about this shit, or they'd be standing on a street corner wearing a fucking sandwich board with the end is nigh written on the front of it and what I said to Dave Chappelle in Aspen written all over the back in fucking in 9-point typeface.
And that's the first time, you know, I would, it's, and so when I saw him come back.
No. First time you what? Finish that thought. That was the first time what? He told you the names and you were too stoned to remember? Fuck you. What is this? Why do these assholes think they're onto something instead of just on something? Just drop the 2 at this point. Okay, at this point, I'm fairly certain Roseanne is like, I think this guy's crazy, and he's in my house.
It was a lot less communication. And maybe he just, maybe he just grows, whatever. But I can honestly say, maybe I'm crazy and I am crazy for saying this. Mm-hmm. When I saw him completely come back, I really questioned if that was him.
I see. It was either a clone or they replaced him. And so the Illuminati created a version of him that tells all these jokes because they want this shit. I thought the Illuminati was driving the woke stuff. Why would they? I guess they ride both sides of it. They're basically the Colonel from the Elvis movie. This is...
Yeah, I know, right?
No, you don't know. Not right. No. No. That's a guy who went through some shit. He either got freaked out by fame or connived with his managers to cheat Comedy Central to get him out of a deal so he could make more money elsewhere, or both. And both of them lined up, and he fucked everybody that was on his show by packing it in and just buying a house in Ohio and being a dick. And then coming out and going, I still got shit to say and I need all the attention, so fuck you and I don't care who I hurt. Like,
I think that's...
And I know that's really crazy.
I think...
Yeah, no. I gotta say, it's not really crazy. It's fucking stupid. It's not crazy. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. It's so stupid.
Think those same things, yeah.
I know.
When we know, that's how you know it's stupid. She thinks the same thing. If you're thinking the same thing Roseanne is thinking, and you were able to put on your pants facing the right direction, you're stupid. You don't get to write it off as crazy because you're not to believe this shit and still be able to dress yourself. There's an idiotic level of sanity with it. You're just self-involved is what it is.
That's crazy.
Well, it's no crazier than that. The trains are going off the rails.
I tell you what, these fucking boats are running into bridges. Son of a bitch, the goddamn fucking electricity went out, and let me get you know what? The black box don't work. Son of a bitch, it's been working for years and years, and all of a sudden this fucker went out of business. So we don't know what happened. All we know is the fucking ship. Yeah. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, aliens in the mall. Can we go to aliens? Okay, let's go to aliens.
He's making fun of you, Roseanne.
To Miami, walking around the mall. Come on, Roger. Can we get another bombing somewhere?
Yeah, no
terrorist
shit.
threat over here.
No shit. But do you think that they clone? I mean, I won't be surprised if they clone.
I hear
they
the
clone
cloning.
people.
Or a chip. It could be him, but
yeah,
controlled.
they could have chipped.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the cloning thing is so crazy. But a chip where they control him, it could be that. Because ChatGPT writes some good jokes now. They probably just put a Chat GPT chip in him, you know.
I mean, maybe they'd take somebody away because you see that boot on him. You see him with that boot.
Dave had the boot?
No, I never seen Dave.
Yes,
with
I've seen the boots.
The boot. They
How
got
did
the
so
boot
many
on one.
people-
I don't know. But then they come back and they're like better. They're nicer or more easygoing.
What? What boot? Because I don't even think they know what they're talking about. Like, he thinks it's a real physical boot, like they wear a certain kind of boots, and that shows that that's how they mark the aliens with certain kinds of boots. And she's like, they get the boot like kicked out. I love this.
Which reminds me, when I was in the nut house, this is way too.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe this is possible.
Long of a story. I got to.
I love this. I know
No,
you were in the
any
nut
story
house.
that starts with when I was
I
in
was
that
in
house is
so
gonna be
many
good.
nut house, but my premier nut house experience.
Okay.
I was 16, and yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't really a nut house. It was an alien spacecraft, and
16?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
See, I got hit by a car and it went in my head, and I got a tragic head
Traumatic
injury.
brain injury.
Yeah, and
it was also tragic.
That's why you were
concussion,
liberal.
brain concussion, blah blah. Well, when I woke up, I was angry. No, I wasn't angry. I was not my regular self. So it's just a long story. So I wasn't how they thought I should be. So anyway, they go, she's mental. My parents, she's mental.
Wow.
But so I went in there. And
They just said it because you weren't the way they wanted you to be. So your parents are part of the Illuminati. They wouldn't be Jews, would they? I'm just saying. Satire.
And we had this girl in there, and her name was Debbie, and I don't know what was wrong with her, some kind of something, but she'd walk really slow. Like it'd take her an hour to walk from here to that wall. She'd go like this.
Oh, shit.
Walk really slow. And that lasted about half a year. And then, because I was in there for a year, and then they took her away. She started screaming one day. She started screaming and then start walking really fast back and forth, like 20 times faster than she'd ever been moving. So they took her away to the factory, wherever they reconfigure you, and brought her back, and she's walking slow again.
Oh.
And that was in the 60s.
You're a kid.
Yeah, so I saw.
Okay, that's Thorazine. That sounds like she was either ditching her meds, and then they put her back on her meds because the screaming freak out and the running back and forth and smashing her head into a wall and that kind of stuff was what got her in there in the first place. And you know what? Who am I to say? Whatever she saw when she was 16 is probably the good Lord.
It's an age that's really vulnerable and
Oh, they was giving the electric shocks to other kids and
like
taking their brains out. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. That's the end of that. That's a proper slice of life from Roseanne stuff. And just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, ladies and gentlemen, let's head on over if we can. And I know I'm going long, but you know the red heifer story that the Jews are going to slaughter a red, not all of them, obviously, just the bad ones. Thank you, Roseanne. Are going to slaughter a red heifer, but they have to make sure it doesn't have a single black hair on its anus. They're going to do that. They also need to rebuild the temple and bring back the Ark of the Covenant, which is, as far as I know, being watched by top men. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along. Can it be found? I don't know. I'm sure some bureaucrats got it on a receipt someplace from 1940 something.
Does the Dome of the Rock have to be
that's loud.
destroyed for the third temple?
That's what most people think when they
losers
consider, a rebuilding of the temple. Although not everybody thinks that is necessary.
Yeah, like that. Apparently, God may or may not agree. Also, Jesus, we really don't know. We haven't gotten a direct message on that one. You can ask the Holy Spirit, but he gives a different answer to everybody. But But Benny Hinn is in the yes column for sure. David Koresh also.
And because there is some dispute about where the temple actually sat, where the Holy of Holies was.
Yeah, some people think it was in Wisconsin.
There's a lot of religious Jews who believe it's where the Dome of the Rock is. There was a gentleman, excuse me, back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was a professor at the Hebrew University. He felt that the Holy of Holies actually was a little north of the Dome.
Yeah, in Nimes in France, actually, really nice area. Just a good place to set up shop.
The Rock, under a place or at a place called the Dome of the Tablets and the Spirits. So
right, but I understand, and if I'm getting the story wrong, I'm sorry, that he built his staff 6 kadam high, but he didn't look at the other side of the headpiece of the staff of Ra to realize you take back 1 kadam to honor the Hebrew God to whom this is, and so they're digging in the wrong place. I am the monarch of the sea. I am the bad dates.
So most people believe that the Dome of
Indy, I'm so glad you're not dead.
the Rock has to go. There are some who believe that it's possible that the temple could have sat just north and, technically speaking, could be on the same platform. There's even a passage in Revelation chapter 11 where John is told to measure the temple of God and the altar, but to leave the court outside, leave that out, because that's given over to the Gentiles. So some people have thought, well, maybe that is suggesting that there's going to be a temple alongside either
the Denver airport,
the Dome of the Rock, or the Alaska Mosque. I don't know. I find that problematic for a lot of reasons. But I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of like the burning of the red heifer.
Hang on, goddammit. I'll tell you exactly where it is. Stop fucking around. The temple's going to be built at Roswell, right underneath an area where an alien spacecraft crashed a long time ago. Wink, wink, crashed. It was just a hard landing, all right? A hard landing. And then if you go down a tunnel right underneath, it takes you straight over to the Starbucks that is in the Denver airport. It's a good one. Even though there's a lot of business there, strangely enough, this particular Starbucks, never much of a line. You'd think that was because of bad service, but I swear to you it's not. Some of the best refreshers you'll ever get right there, and their egg bites to fucking die for. Fantastic. Let me tell you what. So I'm just going to say we need to build the temple someplace else. Works for me. Wow. Sorry.
Right there, in Arab territory might be a problem with that.
That's right.
So
it's all Arab territory. It was they invaded.
So the Ark of the Covenant is where they kept the 10 Commandments, and I know it was real. I know it existed, but I never ever
wiped clean by the wrath of God.
Really thought we're going to find that. We're going to find that? Is that important for the rebuilding of the temple?
Dude, we found it before fucking Temple of Doom. We found it first.
Well, technically speaking, the second temple, this is the one that was built.
It's my family label.
Built after the Babylonian captivity, and then Herod expanded it.
No, it's the Babylonian cafeteria. It's buried under the Babylonian cafeteria. Just saying. Under the vending machines, which has chocolate milk.
Yeah.
That one did not have the Ark of the Covenant in it.
Oh, that's all. Yeah. See, I thought it would, and then you go into the cafeteria and you just start digging, and everybody's like, "Hey, I'm trying to eat lunch here," and you're like, "With the Ark," and then you're like, "Ah, I missed it."
And it's still considered the house of God. So there is historical precedent.
Well, wouldn't everything? Just saying. Is that too much? I mean, wouldn't the house of God just be the universe? Considering, I mean, I don't understand how your God is the God of everything, but fits in a shoebox. It's very confusing to me.
For building the temple and not having the ark. However, there's prophecies that talk about how the glory of the latter house is going to be greater than the first one, referring to.
Oh yeah, it's going to be this. Yeah, I know you guys think this one sucks, but the next one we build is going to be fucking awesome. You mean like a big skyscraper made with modern shit in another country? No. Just bigger rocks. Ah, okay. Sorry. My bad.
Solomon's, which had the Ark of the Covenant. So technically, they could rebuild it without the Ark. However,
it's not a good idea, I think. I mean, you can't just use, whatever, a modern dishwasher.
There have been those in Israel.
It's beautiful. Sorry. That's how my brain works. I apologize. In my mind, suddenly there. I don't know why I saw like a Calgon ad. I think I peaked the meter on assholes today. We just have too many.
Israel since the reunification of Jerusalem, who, not only do they want to build a temple on the Temple Mount, but they want to find the Ark of the Covenant. And there are a lot of traditions as to what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. Some say that it went to Ethiopia, which I don't believe. Some people say that Jeremiah hid it in
tennis. Indy, this is greater than anything we've ever faced before. Come on. You know what a careful guy I am? I don't believe in a bunch of superstitious hocus pocus.
Mount Nebo, which is in Jordan. Some people believe that it is outside of the old city, buried. And then
New Jersey?
There are quite a number of people and
who think it's in Utah. That's right. That's right, Matt.
And particularly people close to the idea of rebuilding the temple, who believe that it's buried somewhere underneath the Temple Mount. That's not really a big secret, honestly.
Yeah. It's just kind of difficult to dig around there because people they kind of get weird.
It's all over the internet.
But I've stood at the place where they say right behind these stones is where they think the Holy of Holies is, which
right. And all you got to do is, all you had to do while you were there, Glenn, was take your whip, lash it around the open mouth of Ra, or it's not a Ra, it's the one with the head of a dog, and then you swing back and forth, and then you make it fall through the wall, and then Miriam crawls through the dead bodies, and then you find her, and then there's a doorway out, and magically, I don't know why, but all the poisonous snakes are in the other room. Duh.
Which is where the Ark of the Covenant would be.
Wait, I do have something though. Hold on. I mean, I use it to hold jewelry, but the guy I got it from said I chose well. And I don't seem to be aging like everyone else. I'm just saying I have this, and I'm older than Alex Jones. So, just saying, it's here if anybody needs it. So, is it the Holy Grail? I mean, yeah. Just saying.
And it's a labyrinth of.
It's a labyrinth. I'm not familiar. I've seen labyrinths before. Whoop, hi. Oh no, it melted my face. I was telling you it was wrong of me to say that. I should have done it. That's what happens, man. You don't touch it without permission. Sorry. You were saying a labyrinth,
which is where the Ark of the Covenant would be. And it's a labyrinth.
It is a labyrinth. It's one of the other. It's either a lab or a nith. We don't know. It's probably both. All right. It's a labyrinth retriever. Those are the sweet dogs. Not so much lap dogs. I like them a little more floppy than that. There's too much of a rigid dog for that. Yeah, it's a labyrinth the doodle.
of passageways and everything.
Oh, I see. You mean a labyrinth. I see. I'm sorry. I must have misheard you.
Underneath there, at least it used to be.
Yeah, but then some asshole came in and filled it in with a labyrinth.
But why would it, how could it possibly still be there?
Yeah, I mean, and not on eBay.
When,
when Roseanne's been looking for it.
Muslims have been digging underneath the Temple Mount for a long time and taking truckloads of dirt and antiquities out and just.
You've never played Dig Dug, have you? Have you ever? You do realize that you can dig all you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to get to the apple.
Dumping them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. I know.
Again, the words.
Yeah.
Where's Dick?
Hold on, sorry.
Dumps.
That's
what they call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how could it still be there? I don't know that I have the answer to that question.
I know. It's not. It's not there. It's in Tanis. And you're going to need a lot more Nazis than you have right now to dig there. I'm just saying.
And
If it was in Syria, you'd be better, because there's still a lot of Nazis in Syria, but not nearly enough for a dig this big. We have not one brain among them. Well, there is one. Who? He's a French archaeologist. He's very clever. They call him Baloche. Belloc.
Say, my faith would say that if God wanted it to be there, it's still there.
Right.
Well, that's easy. So it's sort of Schrodinger's ark. Is that where we're going?
A way of watching over things.
But is it
Now,
is it prophesied that it will be found and come back, or is this just something that some people think?
Both. You do realize that most prophecies are things that just some people thought. Almost all of them, I would say. I can't speak for the ones that haven't come true, but yeah.
Well, the last time you see a mention of the Ark of the Covenant is
at the very end of Raiders.
When
now I got to go watch that. Poison is fresh. 3 days. They are following us. Asps. Very dangerous. You go first.
Josiah tells the priest to take the Ark of the Covenant and put it in the house that Solomon had prepared for it. And by the way, there are people who read into that, well, the Ark of the Covenant was already in the temple. What is Josiah saying? And some people say, well, that's he was hiding it because he knew the Babylonians were coming.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies, The Babylonians Are Coming. It's not so much a movie as a video, and it's not so much a video as I never got through more than 3 minutes of it because it was dirty. Sorry. You guys haven't seen The Babylonians Are Coming? It's fabulous.
And that's where some people think it's hidden in somewhere around Jerusalem.
Yeah, in general, somewhere around there. Somewhere in the general 1,000-mile direction. Maybe in the sea.
Most people, close to the temple or rebuilt temple motivation think that it's underneath the Temple Mount.
Right, because they would hate to think that it was far away. What if it's in Mongolia and it was taken there a long time ago, and that'd be difficult to get back.
But
you do realize you could just make a representation of it, make it sacred again. You don't have to bring like the ashes of wood from back then. If it's magic, it'll stay magic. I would just go get the prop from the movie.
It
was fabulous. So I think it's at Spielberg's house.
Appears from the record is the point. And the next time you see anything mentioned, it's in the book of Revelation, actually, after all this other stuff is over with, all the bad stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, thank God. Well, at least that's an upside. Chat room, take this with you and enjoy it. Sure, the world is full of crazy fuckers like Roseanne and Jim Brewer and these guys and anybody that fucking Glenn calls in a pinch. Sure, the world is full of lunatics, and those people sometimes are driving on the opposite direction that you are in traffic, and God knows what their motivation for living through the day is. I don't mean to panic you, but But the good news is that most of them are so freaked out by this, they don't leave the house. I gotta tell you, I'm so glad that I spent all afternoon putting in a new liquid cooling system for my computer so that it wouldn't overheat during this show. Because of all the shows, I would hate for the computer to go down because of a simple reason like that. I tell you, there it is. We're running just fine. 78 degrees. It seems a little hot to me, but it's doing all right. I've got it set on performance. It wasn't it wasn't a noise, was it? It wasn't noisy at all? Is it all right? Sound-wise, it was okay? I think it was all right. There you go. Pretty nice, though, in general. Also, not that this is anybody's business, but I just thought to say that I have this, it allows you to put an image on the side of it. So inside my computer on the cooling unit, there's a GIF of them doing Zoltan, and it's right there on the inside of my computer. I'm not kidding. It's yeah, I'm that guy. Yeah, it was good. And it's only because I couldn't find a good enough picture of the continuum transfunctioner, which is round, that would fit in that. I just didn't like the images that I had. So, oh, it was good. So, yeah, so there we go. I'm going to let you guys go. I went way over, but that's because we had an extra primo good helping of lunacy today. And I want to remind you guys that tomorrow I will have a morning show, and our dear friend Rob Glenn will be joining us for Friday AI. No afternoon show because I will be on a plane to Philadelphia to do Sexy Liberal on Saturday. I'm getting in there earlier than last time so that I can make sure that I'm able to do the radio show just fine. Very excited about that. Excellent. Yes. So no afternoon show tomorrow. Apologies for that. Maybe I'll go a little longer, but my flight's at 1:30, so I kind of have to bail out at the end of the normal show in the morning too, to fly all day to go east. That's going east, man. Oh, excellent, James. Well, I will see you folks in Philly. I think there's still tickets. Don't forget the cam house. No. And by the way, I'll have you know, I had the camera set up today testing it, and one of the things I did was test its time lapse. So we'll see how that works later. As I was installing all this shit, I was like, that'd be fun to have a time lapse of me just cleaning my office and straightening the shit out. And the battery died. Like I used it, I burned it all the way down. So, and check this out. And I didn't know this. The whole thing, this is super long selfie stick version of this. And it's designed to make it invisible, so it won't show up in the shot. So if I tilt it this way, it erases it from. So it looks like it's floating, like I have a drone or something. So cool. Thank you, patrons. Love you guys. So here we go. Maybe what I'll do is to make up for tomorrow's show, I'll put together a video of the behind the scenes stuff, edit that this weekend, and then of course me singing with Phil X in LA for the charity thing I'm doing with him and the Drills in North Hollywood. And then I got to fly back here before the show on Monday or late night Sunday. I probably fly back late night Sunday. Probably gonna be late night Sunday. I'm a crazy person. I'm already exhausted and I haven't even left yet. Anyways, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget, hold on. There it is. Don't forget that no matter what happens, if I push this button, everything is gonna be okay. Shit.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Heard It's the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing?
Asshole.
Peace through strength on the earth beyond.
Lumpy pillows kiss my ass.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
I had a beat off.
In his sock drawer. Action replays in magnified fortune. Free health care for illegal. Look, we're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges. They don't like the gas. Michigan gave us Motan. Here I am like an idiot. Where's Dick? Hi, Dick. Do we like Dick? Yes. What? You have the ocean and you have the sun. There's something about that works.